All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics are Local, America's number one
Yes.
political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics are Local. But more importantly, y'all know if it's the third Friday, y'all know it's time for the Mayor's Forum. So the mayor's going to be up first. We'll have him come up at 6 o'clock. We're waiting for him to come through. And then after that, we're going to have someone by the name of David Sanders, Zaire.
Divad Sanders.
Okay.
Yeah,
Devon.
it's not spelled wrong. That's how he spells it. It's Divad Sanders.
Okay.
Yeah, Divad's quite a young man. I'm very proud of Divad. Divad, quiet as it kept, as a Panther Cub,
Mm,
Mama's party. But most recently, he has been really important in building out the Newark Community Street Team's overdose response team.
mm.
They have a
Okay.
workshop coming up at the library in partnership with the library next week. And he hasn't been on, and that arm of the street team is relatively new. And it's one of the few vehicles in our ecosystem that actually does what they do. And they built it out in a very organic way. So it's a good story. And so we haven't had a chance to bring him on. So I wanted to make sure we got him on.
Okay. Well, that's going to come up at 7 p.m. And then, of course, at 7:45, we're going to try and get some of the folks uh, that are running for the school board election on. I did hit Dawn up, waiting to see if she can hit us back with some of her team, and then talk to them at about 7:45. And then, of course, at 8:15, we're going to talk with DJ Rhino. So, everything hip hop. So we'll talk with him. But while we wait for the mayor, wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in Haiti. But first, want to welcome, one of our esteemed emeritus co-hosts, my brother, your brother.
One of your founders, one of your
Yeah,
troops.
we got to call him emeritus because he's a big man in the town. You know what I mean? Our brother Bashir Path Akinyeli. Welcome to the show, brother.
For time,
Hotep,
yeah, you saying it
Ho-
wrong.
Hotep, family. Hotep, I'm honored to be on the mighty All Politics Are Local radio show. The number one, actually, the number one political hip
That's
hop
right.
radio show in America and in the world. It's always a pleasure to come on the show with with you brothers.
You
And
made that famous, B. Number one, number one, number one. You
number
made
one, number one, number one, baby, number one.
you made
You
that,
know,
brother.
All Pos Local was pioneering podcasts, and
That's true.
That's real
back in
talk.
the day.
That's
So
Yeah,
real talk.
before
Real
everybody
talk.
started to run with this thing,
that's true.
All Pos Local radio show was out there
15 years, brother.
first. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Think
absolutely.
about
What's the
that, man.
founding date, Ed?
Huh?
You remember the founding date? When was the
It
first
was
show?
it was in I think it was in '09. '09?
I think it was, yeah, I was like around the time we started the NABC, maybe oh nine,
Yeah,
oh
that's
maybe
yeah, that's
oh 09 or 2010, I think, brother E, 2010.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
around it was around '09, 2010, something
yeah.
like that.
Well, you
Yeah.
put it together in oh 09, and then we aired. We went,
Yeah. Because
we
we wrote remember you and I wrote that treatment, remember I
right.
wrote the treatment, told you to read it, and then we
Yes.
gave it to the Spanish cat,
Yep.
what was that
Yep.
brother
Yep.
name? Lou, remember?
Lewis,
You gave it
brother
to Lou?
Lewis, man.
We
At
gave it to
Rutgers. He
yeah,
actually came to you about he wanted
he did. He
he
did he
wanted
didn't
you to
want he
come
didn't
on.
want a political show at first. He wanted an entertainment show.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then I told him I could help him do that. We didn't want to do that, but we could help him on that front. And
Yes.
then, but he said, yeah, y'all can do that. Help me with that. You know what I mean?
That was like oh 09, and then I think we aired. Well, actually you started. You were hosting the event,
One man
the
show.
show. Yeah, in 2010,
Hmm.
and then you had asked me to help,
Yeah,
co-produce and co-host.
yeah.
Sometimes you would bring me on as a guest because
With the
remember we were in the streets every Wednesday.
yeah, yeah.
you know,
that
you
time.
know,
That's right.
yes,
During
we
that
were in the
time.
streets every single Wednesday, and
Yeah.
between the
At that
Wednesdays.
time, the Mighty Newark Anti-Violence Coalition for any listeners.
Absolutely. In between the Wednesdays, we would spend those 6 days organizing for the Wednesday rally. So we would put out press releases, and we would text, send texts out every day, emails every day, to build support for the Wednesday rally. So it was tough, and you had asked me to co-host, and I said, hey, BBC.
But that's true, B. But now, how did we really create this show?
Well, the roots, the roots.
Me and you really did it,
right? The roots go back to the College Entertainment Review magazine, a magazine that Ed, my brother Calvin, and myself, we founded a magazine for Black students on college campuses, on historically Black college campuses, and on predominantly white college campuses. And that magazine, again, is called the College Entertainment Review. But it was Ed's vision. He said he wanted a magazine that was committed to edutainment.
Yep.
And a magazine that not only talked about entertainment, but also educated the masses about politics, about culture, Black culture, and news. So that's the roots of the All Politics or Local radio show. Literally, we're literally, the All Politics Local radio show is a radio show that reflects actually the magazine.
That's right.
That's right. The magazine.
That's why it was easy for us, B, just to move into this, right? It was easy to do it because we were already doing it.
Right.
How many issues and over how long a period was the magazine? I can't remember how long it was. I know I had my share of copies.
Oh, wow. Well, we started in 1990.
Yeah, we started in the 1990s. Yeah,
it was 1990.
And it ran for how long?
Well, it ran for about, I would say, about 4 years. I would say.
Right? The whole time you was in college, man. We were in junior college.
Y'all were, that's right. Yeah, because y'all were, right.
We were Essex,
Yeah.
When we started, we did our first issue.
And Calvin found he when we were doing research about magazines, and Calvin did the research and found the one of Brother Johnson.
Wasn't it the Negro Digest?
Right. Yeah, he found his first publication, the Negro Digest.
That's what we copied. Yeah,
absolutely.
We took that model and we copied that model. We even took this is what we were sharing with somebody last Friday. B, remember we were talking. We were sharing this Saturday when we talked about how we created the back page of the magazine.
Oh wow! Right? Yes.
Right, we gave that you. And
yes. We will close out with something strong, a quote from from a respected Black leader in our community. And but what I like, the 30 to 40 million ex-slaves column. That was
dope.
That was a dope column, brother.
Yeah.
That was dope, man. This it was, you're talking about the late 80s, early 90s. That was the time of Black consciousness. Black consciousness rose up again, Afrocentricity, Black consciousness. That was we were reflecting all of that, and we still reflecting it. We took from those experiences, and created this radio show. Right? People need to understand that. That's what we did. We took those experiences, going to all these hip hop events, going to all these history conferences, political conferences. It was radical political conferences taking place all the time, and one of them. I still remember one of them, Baba Zaid. You know this because you were there. The Malcolm X conference at the Borough Manhattan College, man.
Yeah, Malcolm X speech in the 90s.
Yes,
Sam Anderson.
Man, it was powerful.
Key coordinators for that. When I went back to Cuba this year, I went with them. It
was powerful, man. Deruba, Ben Wahab, former political prisoner, and the original Black Panther Party member, just came home.
That's right.
From the belly of the beast, coming home from being
he was only out
imprisoned by COINTELPRO, right?
That's right. It came out in March of 90. We did that in May of 90.
Absolutely. And our brother, who is now the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, and soon to be governor of the state of New Jersey, our big brother Baraka was a speaker there. And then our big sister, blew the doors off the whole conference. Our sister Soldier, brother.
Mm.
That was the first time I saw her speak.
I can
loud.
remember when she was Lisa Williamson.
Yes,
I
brother.
used to do security for her.
Brother, she blew the doors off the conference.
Did you say you did security for her?
She before she really got into the spotlight, she had an organization called the National African Youth Student Alliance.
Right.
Met out of the offices of the United Church of Christ, which at the time was run by Ben Chavis before he started having his issues.
Oh, okay.
She put it all in the book, brother.
Yeah, right. And
don't get that copy, y'all. No disrespect.
Yeah, I can remember the day the Giants played the Broncos in the Super Bowl. A sister and dear friend who was now an ancestor, Marion Pitts, insisted that I come with her and sit in this meeting with these young heads that was talking some stuff about they wanted to do. Right. And it was Lisa and them. It was Lisa, it's a young brother, two brothers from the brother Steve and brother Eric. Brother Eric kind of all over the place these days. My brother Steve was a medical student, right? Marion, they were like the core. And they were really beginning to make moves as the younger voices in the regrouping of Black Power voices in New York City.
Right.
And I'm like, well, she should be roaming around by herself all the damn time, And so periodically I would come in and make sure that she was covered. But that's what's that, 89, something like that. I can't remember what year
that's the late 80s, 89, 1990.
Was she still in college then, Zai?
No, she had finished college, right? Okay. She had not yet taken on becoming Sister Soldier.
Okay.
She started working with, and if I want to get this right, she started working with Puffy.
Yeah.
Right. She started inroads in the hip hop music industry. Okay. And got hold of Chuck D and whatnot and politicized them. And out of that, she became Sister Soldier. And that one album that she did, was hot as hell, too. People forget about that.
Big shout out to Sister Soldier. Big Black Power salute to Sister Soldier.
It is Women's History Month. So
definitely influence on my life when I saw her at the conference. And thereafter.
Was that the first time you saw her?
That's the first time I saw her live.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. And man, I'm telling you, she blew the doors off the conference, brother.
You remember we used to go to Brooklyn to see her,
Yes, but that was after. That was after the conference. That was after the conference. But again, there were many conferences and forums all over the place. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, big shout out to Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben. ASCAT, the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization, before ASCAT, there was the African Heritage and Studies Association, and then there was the forum that was created by Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben, Dr. Jeffries, up there at City College. Oh man. Mm-hmm. It's escaping my memory now.
Oh yeah, you talking about third world?
Third world. Was it Third World Forum? Third World Alliance? I can't think.
Yeah. I'm having a brain.
And then you had the Slave Theater forums. You had the O'Berry Dempsey Center forums. You had the forums in Brooklyn. I mean, Chuck D.
Long Bay Brass and the Patrice Lumumba Coalition every Friday.
Absolutely. But big shout out to Chuck D and Karis One. Those artists were in the community, brother. They were not just making music, they were in the community speaking and providing an analysis, a strong Black political analysis about the conditions that Black people experience in America. Racism and white supremacy and COINTELPRO.
Yeah. And one of the other hot cakes at that time, we got to get him on too. I'll see if I can track him down, and I probably got to grab his mother, right? Yusef Salaam.
Oh yeah. Brother called me a few months ago to check on me too.
That's right. No, I'm not. I'm talking about young Yusef Salaam. Central Park 5 Yusef Salaam.
That's what I'm talking about. That time. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Around that time. About. Yeah, he called me a couple of months ago. Check on me, man.
Good.
You
Around
know?
that time, we had that was the early days of what became the December 12th movement.
Right.
One of the first things that we hit the streets on with D12 was the question of the Central Park Five.
Man, New York was popping back then.
Yeah.
Bro. New York was popping. Woo!
Yeah,
I
And
mean,
then Soldier. Let's also appreciate
so many
Soldier
forms, man.
dropped the first genuine hip hop novel with the coldest winter ever. When she made that shit, I said, "Damn, girl."
She did. But I personally know her first book, No Disrespect. I really
Well, that was a conversation book. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that one.
Was
bro.
that like an autobiography? No disrespect.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a narrative. Absolutely. Yeah.
I enjoyed that one, brother. Because when she spoke after the conference, I was following her, man. Where she went, I was there.
Yeah.
And she, she spoke so strong.
This is war.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then she lit up. What was that? The Donahue show.
Yeah.
Folks, y'all can YouTube.
Yeah, all that stuff is that's
You can
that's
YouTube this,
YouTube land somewhere.
You can YouTube Sister Soldier speaking on Phil Donahue show. They did a whole conference.
Yeah.
Right. It was really like a black conference, but hosted by a white man named Phil Donahue.
Yeah.
And
Cornell West
lit it up, man. Lit it up.
Right. And you had some Negroes that tried to attack Soldier. Deruba was on and defended her.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
That was a serious piece. Yeah, I remember that.
Folks, again, let me say this. I'm a school teacher, Big shout out to Weekway High School. Big shout out to Leaders for Life, 2 schools that I teach at. Big shout out to all my students at Weekway and Leaders for Life. Love y'all, man. Hotep, peace. But the school teacher in me, man, I require people to go and see it for themselves. Make their, draw their own conclusions. Please, folks, go YouTube. Sister Soldier speaking on Phil Donahue. All right, what Baba Zaid is saying is on point. They tried to come for and do defend her, but in truth, Baba Zaid, she didn't need Brother Deruba. She was so dynamic. She was so dynamic, brothers. She was strong enough to hold her own, brother.
That's right.
So big shout out to Sister Soldier. But getting back to forums and conferences and rallies and demos, this was the late 1980s, early 1990s, when consciousness was on a rise again. Afrocentricity was on a rise, and you had all of that taking place.
Wait a minute. I found it, Basher. Look out.
Yeah.
The issue is race. A crisis in black and white.
What was that? That's the book?
Yeah,
no, that's the forum that we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm saying it was forum.
And that was on Donahue show?
He hosted it.
Okay.
But I'm saying that in the North, going on, not just in the Northeast, but going all over the country, there were all kinds of forums and conferences and demos and rallies that reflected the consciousness of that era. Black consciousness, and I would say Afrocentricity, was very high then. It was strong. And so you went to a forum, you went to a conference or a rally back then, brother, it was thousands of people showing up. I'm gonna give you another example. Dr. Clark spoke at the Multi-Purpose Center right here in the city of Newark on Rutgers Newark campus. Thousands of people showed up. Thousands.
Dr. Clark?
Thousands at Rutgers on Rutgers Newark campus.
What year was this?
Oh man, this got to be when I was still in college. This is somewhere between 1989 and 1993.
I missed that.
Thousands showed up. Thousands. People couldn't even, if you didn't get there early, you couldn't even get in. That's how it was back then.
And it was in the multi-purpose room.
And you know how big the multi-purpose room at Rutgers.
Yeah.
Man, that was the era,
Yeah.
And I think that those of us who experienced the era, we gotta keep pushing, take all that wisdom, take all that knowledge and wisdom, and understand it and bring it here.
And
bring it to this era.
And to bring it back to hip hop, that was the golden age of hip hop.
Yeah, and hip hop also reflected. Yeah, hip hop reflected that as well. So, but those of us who experience that, we got to get back to, we got to, I don't know, getting back, or just bring some of that again, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Bring it here, bring it to this era. All right. I really believe that our young people, they hungry for it, man. Listen, at my school, I say Hotep. Two schools I teach at now, I say Hotep. I mean, the response is Hotep. It's almost like saying Assalamu alaikum now. That's how brothers and sisters greet each other, because I was influenced by that. I would go to those forums and I would hear the brothers say Hotep, and I said, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. And when I become a teacher, I'm gonna take that to my classroom. And I started teaching in 1993, and one little school, independent black school, Jama's Children's University, and I started saying Hotep, and then I went to Chad, and another independent black school, saying Hotep, and
mhm. So when you say these kids are hungry for it, right?
They're hungry, brother.
But the thing is, they got social media. How do you get them to come to a forum?
I think that we used I borrowed this from an administrator. When we would do forums, we do our PD's professional development on virtual. We make it virtual, right? But one of the administrators would always say, do the hard copies, make hard copies, of everything. So she would make, she would do the Google slide presentation, but she would make copies. She said, we got to be versatile like that, because some people don't get down with, with the virtual. But some people like paper. Some people don't like paper. They get down with the virtual. I think that we got to do that. We have to balance it out. We have to push in the virtual world, and then push in the physical world, right? And in the physical, in the real world, and just keep going. I mean, it's a struggle, because a lot of our people are captivated by social media, and what's on social media. They're captivated by a significant number of the, the little, the entertainment stuff that's going on in social media, but there are some young people. There are some young people pushing out. I see them all the time. At least, I know the algorithms are different for everyone on social media. But on my end, I see young people putting out videos. Dr. Khalid Muhammad videos, Dr. Clark videos, Dr. Ben videos. This is soldier videos. I see them. These are young people now.
But the question is, and I get it, right? Do a mixture. But how do we still? Because remember, you said that in '93 that Dr. Clark thing had millions, not millions,
thousands. Yeah, it was thousands of people
there. But the question is, can we? And I guess I'm asking you and Zaid this.
Yeah.
Is there somebody that can lecture like young, right, like a soldier, who could lecture like that and attract thousands of people?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I want us to outgrow that, right? Because that was why I was when it's an electric dimension within our culture. It's also a place where has limitations, meaning that a charismatic figure can be super sincere. Charismatic figure can also be co-optable and corrupt, right? So we should definitely learn from the limitations of our golden age and struggle, that we should not allow ourselves to be just beholden to the charismatic leader, right? The leadership should be more organic and more collective, right? And that makes us more repression proof, and it makes us more repressive.
That's right, Baba. That's right. Absolutely. Because when you create, when there's the charismatic leader, definitely, Baba, the charismatic leader could be compromised. Well, look, brothers, we got our big brother. He just chimed in. All right. He just chimed in. Our big brother, Mayor of the city of Newark, our big brother, Mayor Baraka. Hotep, peace, brother.
Peace, man.
How you doing, big brother?
Going on? All right. What's happening?
Brother, you just walked into a conversation we were having about, how the All Politics local radio show, actually, it's, how it's its roots, how the roots of the show, or where the origins of where it came from. And when Ed and I were in college, when I was undergrad, we started the College Entertainment Review magazine, which was a magazine for Black students on college campuses, historically Black colleges, and for students on predominantly white college campuses. So we were going through, the different columns. We had a column called the 30 to 40 million ex-slaves. On the back of the magazine, we always took a quote from a famous Black person, because the College Entertainment Review magazine, Mr. Mayor, came out of the late 1980s and the early 90s, which was a resurgence of Black consciousness, Afrocentricity, all that was going on. We talked about all the forums that we used to go to, man, forums, conferences, demos, and so we wanted
the Black Air Force days too. So we
absolutely, and we talked about one of the conferences we went to, at least was very influential in my life, was the Malcolm X conference that took place at the Borough Manhattan College.
90s.
Yes, and that's when we heard from you. You were a young college student then. And then we heard from our big sister, and you did a great job, brother. I was like, wow, they got a brother like that on Howard, And then we heard from our big sister, Sister Soldier, man, Lisa Williams. I said to Baba Zaid and Ed, I said, man, she blew the doors off that conference. It was powerful, And so, long story short.
And of course, she lit up the whole conversation once we went on her.
Man, yeah,
boom.
man.
And so that's who actually taught the man how to speak in public. Huh? They can bring it like that.
Yeah.
But
he definitely gave me the opportunity to train, that's for sure.
No doubt. But
he definitely gave me the opportunity to train, taking me around the place, speaking, through baptism by fire.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we were talking about, just to kind of, we were talking about how do we take not all, but some of those experiences. How do we create something in the present, right, to raise the conscious levels of the masses of Black people, brown people, poor people? How do we do that? So we were kind of discussing ways, strategies to do that, because a lot of people on social media now. Back then we didn't have social media, because I was telling Ed, I said, Ed, I went to a Dr. Clark lecture at Rutgers Newark campus, the multi-purpose room, and it was thousands of people there, brother. I mean, if you didn't get there early, you couldn't get in, And so, we were just talking about how do we kind of attack both ways, in a virtual way and then in the street way or in the community way. So that's what you walked into.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right, man. We got to do it both ways, and you just have to. I mean, young people, obviously, I was in an interview. Somebody asked me what was the difference between the way we was organizing at Howard and the way folks was organizing in the civil rights movement, New Yorker magazine, and basically told them like most of the tenets are the same, because we fighting for the same kind of things,
Go ahead.
On a different level still. But the way we organize was different. I mean, the hip hop generation of Public Enemy in 1989, 90, 91,
yes,
organized a little differently than the folks in the civil rights movement did, right? Or even the Black Power movement. So it was just a little different, right? And the way we communicated, we used different words, different lingo, different slang we used. And it was we had a hip hop convention and different kind of ways, Sister Soldier, using all of these artists and rappers to do different things. So it was different.
Yeah.
So today it would be different for these young people than it was for us then. It would be different.
Absolutely.
So they would organize a little differently than we would. I mean, we didn't have TikTok and Instagram and all this stuff that they have now, that they have to learn how to use to their own benefit. I mean, some of them have, but they just organize differently. But the content is basically the same, really.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, we're still fighting for some of the fundamental things that we don't have still.
Right. That's right.
At a different level. So the content is the same. And so it's like these people have also learned from their mistakes. Our enemies, we gotta learn from our mistakes. They learn from theirs, so they know how to, organize against us just a little better.
Absolutely.
Than they did before.
Victories.
That's right. They know how to do it. So, I mean, we just have to. That means we have to step our game up. That's all.
Right.
We gotta step our game up and be more strategic in how we do the things that we do. That's all.
Absolutely. And
So-
and of course,
But the question the question we were posing on, Mayor, is though, so if we know that all of our young, and we've had this conversation, Mayor, on the show, but the question is, if we know most of our young people now are comfortable with everything on social media, how do we get them to come to something that's not entertainment-y, but something that's conscious just as much, as we did coming out back in the day? Because Zaid, I get it. Zaid saying, yeah, we got to do both, and I agree with that. But yet we want them to experience some of that stuff that we experienced out there.
You can. I think it's possible. Just like, look, back in the days, people used, like my father and them had the Spirit House. They even Kamako's after that. I mean, we used to do verse for verse poetry. I think these kids like these salons where they go and hang out and do social things, but people gotta add the political piece in it.
Yeah.
Like my father and them used to have parties at the house, but somebody would get up and read a poem or get up and give a speech, and that's we gonna have to start doing it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mayor, you right on it. But we need brothers and sisters to do these things on social media, to give the correct kind of analysis, not a narrow analysis, but a correct analysis in terms of the conditions still facing Black people and brown people and poor people, because we got some folk out there on social media, brother. Brother,
it's like the mic. It's difficult for people to come to the meeting and people to get your mic, right? So the mic is like, intoxicating, brother. So
yes, it is.
So social media
quality show
gives them a platform, what I mean, to act the fool, even if it's 30 people, or 40 people watching them,
Absolutely. And that's the struggle, but one of the things that we learned, I'm pretty sure you can agree with this, Mr. Mayor, that we were required to read, to study. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a school teacher, that. I require my students to read, to analyze text, right? And when they present arguments, we call them claims in the classroom, right? But you got to support it with provided evidence. Some of that stuff is not happening on social media, like you said.
They don't have to.
Right. The virtual world give everybody a platform, and nobody G-checking the sources, brother. What's the source, brother? Because I caught a lot of folk out there. I say, okay, brother, you put, sister, you presenting this information out there, right? That the world is flat. Okay, what's the source? Quiet. Oh, brother, you don't understand, brother. How I go. Like, brother, what's your source?
The source is Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, that's the source, Kyrie Irving, right? But I'm talking about what's the scientific source? Well, brother, we don't have to go there. We just know that the world is flat, brother.
Yeah, that's it. They don't have to give any evidence. Kyrie Irving is the source.
It's very interesting now, though. Seriously, like on the virtual world, in some quarters, not all quarters of the virtual world, but some of the virtual world, there is no source. There are no sources. All right. There's nothing that is giving the viewer or the person involved in the virtual activity, something to read, to study, something concrete that they can see and determine for themselves whether or not the presenter is telling the presenting facts or fiction.
Yeah, and there's no cross-referencing, right? So somebody could say anything. You don't check the story or check the source.
Right.
Wow.
Absolutely, because you experienced this as a college, as a student leader, as a community leader, right? You experienced this that folk, if you said something, folk would check you, you know. They say, well, what book did you read that? What article did you get that from? What's your source? You know?
Investigation, no right to speak is what Mao.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's
Absolutely.
right.
Brother Malcolm.
In fact, the mayor said that on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
right.
Speech,
Absolutely. Brother Malcolm.
Into that too. Go ahead.
And Baba Zai, you know this as well. Brother Malcolm, when he messaged to the grassroots speech, I believe, right? I think that's when he referenced Dr. King. Is that the speech, Brother Malcolm? And he was talking about.
Yeah. Go ahead. Come on.
No, he was talking about when he was giving a critique of the March on Washington.
Oh yeah. Right. Yes.
And he was referencing. He referenced different sources to say to the people, these aren't my words. This is what actually happened. And he would.
And Jonathan would love this. He's not on right now just yet, but because Jonathan is on debate, Coach Legend.
Debate.
That's Malcolm the debater, always coming up, bam, back in stuff with evidence.
Right.
Stephen Currier, the white man.
Go ahead, Mr. Man.
Documented in the newspaper, and he will pull all that stuff out. Right?
Yeah. Listen, he told the black community then what happened to Patrice Lumumba. Right? Yeah. He presented the information. He said, this is not what I'm saying. I'm telling you what the source is. This is what they did to the brother.
That's right.
They assassinated him.
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying that we got it. Some of us who will have these large.
How do you know what you know?
Right. Absolutely. Oh man. Professor James Small, Professor James Turner, the late great Professor James Cornell. He did forums on those. How do you know what you know? How do you know what you know?
That brother was a teacher legend.
Absolutely. But it's like the mayor said, it's a little different now. We did things. We come out of the hip hop world. We Chuck D. We mentioned Mr. Mayor. We mentioned Chuck D. and KRS One. They used to speak, in the community. It was so connected to the community. I mean, literally, you could just touch Chuck D. You could, you know what I'm saying? You could just go up to him. He'll come to the community, or KRS One will come to the community, and you could just go up to him and have a whole cipher, have a whole conversation. This the kind of conditions. This was the what we experienced in the late 80s and early 90s. It was incredible. But listen, Mr. Mayor, listen, brother, we're honored to have you on, today, brother. This is your forum. We don't want to hog the mic, all right? And you made some powerful. Wow, you did some powerful speeches throughout these last couple of weeks. But the biggest one is announcing that you're running for the governor of the state of New Jersey. Very powerful, brother. In the state, you announced it in a state that was the last state. I'm a history teacher, my brother. Last state to end slavery in the Union. The very last one. A lot of people don't know that. Even in the city of Newark.
And it's only been 3 African American governors.
Go ahead. That's right. Absolutely. In this country.
Yeah, we will be the 4th.
Absolutely.
So man, let me ask you a question, right? So let's talk a little bit about the speech, and because we always run out of time when you get fired up. But listen, man, so let me ask you a question, man, right? Because I mean, I dug it from beginning to end, but I gotta take it in 2 parts, right? So what would because I dug it when you started giving your history, right? 10th Street, Avenue, when you started talking that way, right? What like because a lot of folks was checking you out. There's like, let me check this guy out, man. Who had never seen you speak before, and because you running for governor. Who were you talking to?
There's a lot of people was in there, just everybody really just laying out what happened in 10 years and who we are and why we why this is important. Why history demands this. You know what I mean? And just really like putting it in the context of Newark and how difficult things is in our city, and even raising the other mayors, like because we were asked to do things that are really not normal. We wasn't given no Marshall Plan, so I started with that. We didn't have a Marshall Plan. Like nobody gave us any resources to redevelop the city of Newark after the Newark Rebellion. Nobody came after the war in Newark, gave us money to rebuild, gave us money for jobs, gave us money for housing, gave us money for schools. That stuff didn't happen. It took decades for that stuff to happen little by little, right? So you had to do this with your wit and your own ingenuity. And that's simply it. So obviously, we wish some people were more progressive than others, but at the end of the day, everybody really was trying to create something from nothing. In the way that they should do it.
That's right. That's like hip hop.
And man, when you two things is of course, when you mention, mom and dad, Amina and Amiri, yo, man, that just tore the roof off the place, man. You know what I mean? Here's who these people are, and here's who I am, and because for us, man, all of us, come from the work that they did, man. You know what I mean? And some folk act like they're afraid to say their names. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I outlined that. I say all that up front on purpose because once I get into the throes of this thing, those names are going to be mentioned.
That's right.
Again and again. So just start out front with it. Like that's my mother and father, Mary and Amina's son. Matter of fact, today one of the media people asked me about how he asked me without asking me, like, how are you going to handle the fact, some of the things your father said and he was into, so forth and so on. And I was like, listen, this is my father. I love him. And ain't nobody gonna say nothing negative about it without me responding to him.
That's right. That's Go ahead, man.
And he's done tremendous work for not just Black people, for people all over the world, internationally. But in the final analysis, my name is on the ballot, not his.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's really what it is. So can't get distracted because that's the way to distract you around these things, and you just have to come up front with it so they don't like try to make it out of something that it ain't. Everybody know what happened, what's going on. We know what it is. You just got to stand on it.
Absolutely. I just want to say this, Ed, for our listeners and people tuning in. All right. We have Mayor Ras Baraka, right, the mayor of the city of Newark, at his forum called the Mayor's Forum, and our mayor gave a state of the city address on this past Tuesday, and he again announced to the people of Newark that he was running for governor of the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, well, it was more than the people in Newark in there, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying,
they came far and wide.
Yeah,
even the New York Times was up in there. So the people was in there.
Yeah,
and they came. Probably the most anticipated state of the city that I ever delivered. Because people was coming to see what I was going to say, something that they could use, take out of context, or something they could. Say. So I led with all of that we progressive, and we want 16-year-olds to vote, same day voting, voter ID, CCRB, all that stuff. We did all of these things, and we're going to continue to do it. Body cameras, whatever.
You're right, Mr. Mayor. You're right. Let me correct that. It was a packed crowd, and people from all over, actually the tri-state area. But I'm just saying for our brothers and sisters that live in Newark, right? That you gave a state of the city address.
Yeah.
At the same time, you let them know you was running for governor too. Okay.
Yeah. I've never seen it this packed, man. It was packed, right? And let me tell you something, man. So and give me your impression, right? Because two things happen, right? So So when the frat brothers started going off, and the community brothers went off, you know what I mean, hold the line, and then the frat brothers went off, right? And then at the end of it, when everybody got fired up, right? And then, you know, I'm there yelling, "Go ahead, Governor." The white man turns around. One guy turns around. He says, "Do you really think he can win? Do you really think that?" I said, "Do you really think he can?" You know what I mean? I mean, it was. I mean, he's like, "Why are you guys saying hold the line? What is that?" You know what I mean? I mean, it was so many different folks in there, man. And I told them
who that was, and I wasn't even there.
It had a different vibe because I don't think that they've heard about call and response before, I'm sure. But I think
you know, big on call and response, brother.
Huh?
I said we big on the call and response.
Yeah, and I don't think they ever seen people do that before that way.
No,
you know,
no. They haven't seen it, especially they seen all those guys saying the frat stuff first. I know that threw it completely off at a scene in the city, and then brothers in the audience yelling "Hold the line" probably really took it to the next level.
Yeah, it was like, what is this game?
Yeah.
What is that? You know what I mean? You know. And you know, listen, man. I told back here that I think all those folks who were there, who had never seen you, heard you like that, I think for most of them, they were looking for whatever they could find. That's why when you mentioned mom and dad, for me, that was it, brother. I was like, yo, that's it. You know, because they tell us in law school, man, to get ahead of things, right? Just say it, man. Don't you know, play with it so that people know exactly where you coming from. Right, the man ain't running from his father. He ain't running from his mother. No, we ain't doing none of that. Right, and you know, we stand on the square. So for us, it's like, yo, you know, don't talk to us. You know, because one guy said something, and I told him, I said, listen, man, I can give you Mitty Baraka's number. How about that? You know, you want to get the position of where the campaign is going. Why don't you go talk to Mitty Baraka? Oh no, we don't want to talk. We just wanted to get that from the mayor. We'd like to know what is your opinion. I'm gonna tell you where you can go and get it. How about that? Right. So you know, but they didn't want that, man. They were looking for a headline, right? Some sort of byline, right? Because it was you know, one guy even said to me, he said, "That's a lot of power for one guy to have." You know, when them guys was yelling, "Hold the line." He says that sounds like a Malcolm movie to me. That's a lot of power, you know.
Wow, but you know what though, Mr. Mayor.
They know what hold the line mean, brother.
Yeah, they know.
They just want to know why you saying it.
They know. But you know, Mr. Mayor, I think that you know you're going to inspire and fire up a lot of folk, not just in Newark or East Orange or Essex County. You're going to fire up a lot of people around the state and around the country. Right? I believe that more and more people will pour into Jersey. Not only people from Jersey supporting, but supporters from all around the country will pour in, you know, and support your campaign for governor. I believe your campaign is going to be, yes, you're running for the state, but it's kind of going to take on a national. It's
already is national. Already is. Look, we already national.
Yeah.
So stuff we have gotten done in the last 10 years, we already national. Particularly, I've got to lift up what we're doing around this community-based work.
That's right.
That is very national, right? And the kickoff, that whole thing with that lead piping thing, that blew people and saved people's lives. We are not Flint, Michigan. We're Newark, New Jersey.
That's right. But there was some people trying to make Newark into Flint. You know,
that's right.
You know, so
that's absolutely.
Yeah, and that wasn't the case.
And the thing
go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
No, that's right. That's why I try to lay it out. That's why I tried to lay it out like that, the 10 years from the beginning to the end, and then just like juxtaposing what people thought was going to happen. Like that's why I started that way. You know, people thought that the city was going to be in ruin, that you know, we'd be crime rate and businesses would leave, and you know, because they always think that, like somebody progressive or far to the left, they think, you know, get authority or power, that the whole bottom is going to fall out because, you know, their idea of it is just there's no fiscal responsibility. We're gonna let crime run rampant. The businesses are gonna leave the city because they're not gonna be able to develop all this stuff, and none of it happened.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The opposite happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I like that, Baba Zai. The opposite happened.
The opposite happened.
Reduction in crime,
More
and
money and
violence and
business
crime.
coming in the North than ever before because we
Right.
didn't out to the streets.
Right. A huge reduction in violence and crime. That's an actual fact. And a lot of that, yes, the police played a role in it, but also your office of violence prevention and trauma recovery played a huge role in the reduction of violence and crime in the city of Newark.
Yeah, and the same reporter in New York asked me, like, what's the difference between, like, what did I learn from being an activist, like, in the street against speaking out against violence and being the mayor? I said I learned that what we were saying was right.
That's right. I mean,
violence is a public health issue.
That's right.
What we were saying was correct. We implemented it and we saw like some dividends. So apparently something we was yelling about made some sense.
Well, Mr. Mayor,
not only that, I mean, think about it, man. When you was telling them that, look at everybody who's copying the offices now, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The city,
state of New Jersey, by the way.
Yeah.
And the health department is clueless.
Right.
Yeah. No,
I mean, creating an ecosystem of organizations and therapists and psychologists and social workers, that all played in they played their own lanes, but the whole goal and objective was to reduce violence, and it's happened that way. And you created a blueprint for that for the whole country, So yes, folks are studying what you did and trying to replicate that. That's why your campaign is definitely is a national movement, because the things that you've done in the city of Newark, to reduce crime and violence, to reduce the lead issue. I mean, to tackle the lead pipe issue, and residents didn't have to pay one dime.
Yeah,
one dime for that,
Huge. Huge.
Local control of the Newark public schools. These things are moving, under your leadership, my brother, And of course, Baba Zai, you're an activist, brother. When you're doing good, brother, you're doing good for Black people, brown people, poor people, working people. The enemy is going to attack as well. And and they've been attacking you for a minute, Mr. Mayor. And I know they're gonna step up those attacks. They're gonna step up those attacks, unfortunately, to try to derail the people from supporting you for governor.
We'll spoke Jonathan up. Jonathan, along with Principal Kafele, shouting you out in the chat on Facebook and YouTube. Jonathan, get on the call.
Exactly. He said it's a national campaign already. So this is a national campaign. I like that, brother. Broody Kafele. Hotep, my brother, you're right. This is a national. He's saying the same thing. It's a national movement.
Black nation.
Yes, absolutely. But again, enemies are gonna come. Man, Baraka, I heard you say this many, many times, my brother, many times, that your enemies are bigger than the little poop pop cat on the rock. Your enemies are bigger.
But you know what this is, though, man. I think as I was in that room with all those people, I think that most of those people who even some of the Black folks, I think for most of them, they've never seen anybody like you. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I think for some of them it's hard to believe that, is this a guy who really came from the muck and mire like that, and really still connected to these people like that? Because they've never seen nothing like that. You know what I mean? And then for you to talk the way you do, and then it's like for them, that's why they asked, especially people coming from South Jersey, So to be in that room, and most people, would drive past Newark, not really look to get out, and then hear somebody from Newark saying, "Oh, I'm from 10th Street and Clinton Avenue, and I want to be the governor." Like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, is that really even possible?
Right. Right.
And that's what I was feeling from those people, because they were when we were yelling, they were like, they looked around like, "Whoa, what is that?" And "Oh, what's going on?"
Yeah, they can't wrap their head around it.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah, it's not the regular way.
Right.
Yeah.
And and when we particularly those of us said, well, look, hey, if you telling us he can't win, my thing is, well, show me the evidence. So because the conversation we had, man, hungry people is hungry everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So you telling me that the people down in South Jersey who want food, they're not hungry? What are you talking about? So if they're talking about the same program, a guaranteed income for folks up here, you telling me those folks down there don't want a guaranteed income? What are you talking about? Right.
That's true. That's true. If Barack Obama can win Iowa, we can win New Jersey.
Go ahead. But hey, Mr. Bear, I'm gonna keep it strong. Listen, what they really saying to Ed, what they really saying to you, my brother E, is that he's not created by the Democratic Party or the Republican.
Not controlled by.
Right. You understand what I'm saying to you? And I think that's what they're really trying to say, that, wow, he came from the community. He came from the people, right? And he kept the people focused, because the conditions that are facing Black people are and brown people are the same conditions that's facing even some white folks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jobs and poverty and
yeah, absolutely. And it's what racism keeps them from. Like Martin Luther King said, when they can't feed their kids wrinkled and hungry stomachs, they feed them Jim Crow.
Go ahead.
And that's the racism is what keeps these people not realizing who their real enemies are, right? And that's these white reporters, white and Black reporters ask me basically, how you gonna get white folks to vote for you? And they don't even see how crazy that question is, because they don't ask white people how they gonna get Black people to vote for them.
That's absolutely right.
Good point.
And that's they don't even see what they're saying. And really what they should be asking was, what I told one of them, what you should be asking is, how are Democrats going to get white people to vote for them? Because the majority of white people in the state did not vote for Phil Murphy.
That's right.
They did not. So you should ask Phil Murphy how he going to get white people to vote for him.
And Black
he got
County
less than 50%. He got less than 50% of the white vote in New Jersey.
That's right. That's right.
94% of the Black vote, and about 86% of the Latino vote.
That's a good point. That was great points. Great points.
The 11th hour, Essex County came in heavy and saved us behind. Guess what Essex County looked like? Everybody on this call.
Absolutely.
So that's the question. And what's real, like, most people don't even know that. Like, they don't know that. They think that Phil Murphy is the governor because most white people in New Jersey voted for him. That's just not true.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not true. So that's a question that should be asked to everyone. Right? They asking me that question because I'm Black.
That's right.
Right.
They're not gonna ask, anybody else this question.
Yep. Right. Listen, man, you already know this, and I'm not saying anything that isn't known. Listen, if it had not been, for Mitty, if it had not been for Newark, that Cattarelli, Citarelli, that dude would have been the governor. Let's be straight. You know what I mean? And and I gotta remember, man, and I say this to my wife all the time, so I don't get offended. Look, and I damn near got offended when he said, "Could you win?" And I said, I wanted to say something else, but bless God, I didn't. You know what I mean?
We thankful you didn't, Ed.
Yeah, I know. See that, but that's the problem. You know what I mean? And it's like, because in my mind, I'm saying, yo, y'all just, what the mayor just said. Y'all just saying, well, y'all ain't gonna vote for him. Why? Because he black? Is that what you said?
No, that is what they're saying.
Issues.
They think that white supremacy and racism is going to prevail. They believe that it is strong. Like, they think that we talking about it. They are really saying that, like saying, maybe we're not vote for you, not because of what you're saying, but because you're black. And what they do is they count this whole thing like urban versus suburban, which is BS, right? which is a bunch of BS. Ultimately.
Yeah. Because man, I had a Jewish rabbi talk to me afterwards, and he says, so are you close to the mayor like that? And so are you really one of them guys who is gonna go hard in the paint for him like that? I mean, you're not. I said, what? You know what I mean?
Now we are.
I said, are you serious? You know what I mean? Like we would be wasting our time, right? If we really went out there and campaigned for the mayor, knowing that, like somehow, what are you telling me that I don't know the mayor's black? What are you telling me? I mean, what are you saying? Because and I know everything we've been taught by Shia and Zaid on this. Politics is about issues, man, right? Politics is about interests, right? So, and man, we talk about this all the time. I think a hungry person is a hungry person, right? I think a broke person is a broke person.
Right.
Now, you want to talk something else, we can talk that. But remember, man, we don't get to use the race card. They do.
Right. That's why they keep asking me these questions. And every time they ask me, I'm going to bring it up, like, just like that. So they'll know that I know what you're getting at. I know what you're getting at. Because this suburb thing is just really false.
Yeah.
Because, Irvington is a suburb of Newark. You know what I mean? It's just a false. So is Orange, for that matter.
East Orange.
Right. Those are suburbs of Newark. And they're nothing like Montclair or South Orange. And South Orange is not like Milburn.
Right.
It's really about, class more than anything. Right. So at the end of the day, that's what you're saying. And you're mistaken about the things you're talking about. It's not the same. Right. Yeah. This guy back there made an issue about the fact that I called said 1967 rebellion instead of riot. He was like, well, my parents would call it a riot, and you're calling it a rebellion. I think that right there, the differences right there say a lot. I say, yeah, it would be a problem 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but young today, people trying to figure out the results of all of that, right? What was the outcome of all of that stuff? I mean, but to really just stick down to what a difference between a rebellion and a riot that they're saying, because we got different points of view. That's really what it is. But for him to bring that up, is that some of these people are afraid of that.
Yeah.
Teach. Go ahead.
It really does that. He said, like, why are you worried about the fact that I called it a rebellion versus a riot? Well, my parents would have called it a riot. That's what he said. The guy from New York Times. And in their perspective, it was. In ours, it wasn't.
Right. That's right.
Riotous behavior is what they did when they lynched us.
That's true. That's right.
Right. It's what those kids in the college when they kids
came in with a riot.
Yeah. That's riotous behavior. Right. So at the end, we trying to get something off our back. Right. That's the difference. So absolutely. Like to have this to say that in a gubernatorial race, like to have a debate about rebellion and riot is somebody trying to get to the crux of race. They're trying to make you talk about race in a way that would cause issue for you.
Teach.
That's why you gotta be careful. That's why I said 50 years ago, that would have been a problem. But these young people today, hell, they live downtown Newark.
Yeah.
They don't have the same problems as their grandmothers did.
That's right. That's right.
they can't even afford to live in their grandmother neighborhood. That's why they come down here.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Exactly. And so, I mean, they're not going to be prepared for the things that, you say. It's like lawyers ask questions on the stand, anticipating a response, and then they have follow-up questions based on a response that they've anticipated. The problem is when they ask me these questions, the response that they're anticipating, they're not going to get.
Yeah.
Great point. Great point.
Well, hey man, we out of time, but I'm gonna tell you something now, man. If you hear me slip and cuss, man, I'm asking you to forgive me, brother. You know what I mean? Because if they say something about you I don't like, brother, you know what I mean? I'm doing my best, brother. My wife is with me. She'll tell you, brother, when they was asking them questions, brother, when I was yelling. You know what I mean? You hear yelling?
That's right. You hear the background.
Those reporters, man, they roaming around trying to catch somebody.
When they say, because when that dude was asking me the question, do you really think it? Come on now, guy, really? Or I almost cussed, man. I gotta tell you the truth. I almost said,
well, we're gonna put an armor protection around our brother, Mayor Baraka.
Yeah.
Soon, I think Mayor Baraka gubernatorial candidate for the state of New Jersey. Our big brother, Mayor Raz Baraka, right? We're gonna say it in this spirit, Ed. We're gonna say it in this spirit, the way the original Black Panther Party would say, how would challenge people to fight racism. They would say fight racism with solidarity.
Right.
There it is. Right. All right, man. Listen, man. Thank you, my brother, for coming through, man.
Y'all be cool.
Yes, sir.
Too, my brother. All right, peace. Yeah, that was powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah.
We got you, man. No doubt, brother. Shout out to brother Marquise. It's my brother right there. No doubt. We got the mayor's back. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. I believe the mayor will win. I believe he will
prevail, bro.
I believe he will prevail. He will win because this thing has already taken on, let me correct myself, taken on a national movement. I mean, you know what I'm saying, Baba? I'm getting that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know if you're getting that on your end, but I'm getting that on my end. This is a national thing now. Yeah. Not just a local thing.
It was national when he ran. Well, what we're talking about is this. Let's put it this way. When he ran for mayor, a similar vibration took place.
Yeah.
Right? Coming from that entity, from the business community, from white folks who come in and out, Newark, make their money, but don't stay, right? Is the city going to be run down? This is the same. This is the stateside version of that same energy, right?
Yeah.
And they're in for a pleasant awakening. I would say a rude awakening, but if you clean the state up and get all that corruption out of the state house, that'd be funky as hell.
No doubt, absolutely. And on our people's side, on the Black side, on the poor people's side, folk continue to organize and continue challenge the mayor, because the mayor always welcomes challenge. He said, always push me. He always says that, push me, and I know that folk will push the mayor to make sure that issues unique to Black people are addressed in the state of New Jersey.
But you know what's interesting though is I think that all of them folks, because I told you all the place was packed, right? I think a lot of them folks, like the man said, who come to hear him speak, wanted to hear him say something that they could just write an incredible byline with and all that. And and remember, Zaid, and this, Bashir, when we did celebrated Amiri's birthday, that's why the man said, when he said, let me just get it out there. I'm the son of these people. You know what I mean? And there's no level of embarrassment with me talking about my parents, right? It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think that happened with a lot of leaders, who want to somehow be leaders, but they want to leave the legacy of their parents or who they come from behind. How do you do that? You don't get to do that, right? That just doesn't happen. And that's why when he said it, man, it resonated for me in such a way, man. I was like, wow, that's what we've got to do.
That's right. I see Marquis said they doubted us in 2008. I like that, brother. You're absolutely correct, brother. You know, doubted us 2008, doubted us 2014. You know, hell, they even doubted when the mayor first ran for mayor back in 1994. Shorty for mayor, they doubted him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, after he suffered a tremendous loss, but they thought he was gonna go away, though. They thought he was gonna go away, but he kept organizing. He kept organizing until
and the thing is,
he won in 2014.
And the thing is, y'all know, most black folk would be afraid to do this, right? They'd be afraid, right?
Unless they had the permission of all of the
they got permission from the
big house.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is not that kind of guy. It's not that kind of party.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, look, man, listen, you know, we're gonna be talking about Mayor Baraka's run, you know, for governor for a few months, you know. So but brothers, it's been real. I gotta make a run myself.
B, thank you for coming through, brother.
Brother, real pleasure.
Taking us down memory lane.
Oh, man.
Appreciate it, man. You know what I mean?
That's why I'm here. That's right.
Real pleasure to be on. I'm always honored to come on this radio show, brother. It is important. It is an important site for you know, the discussion, a serious analytical discussion about politics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, about our culture, about hip hop. When I say our culture, my black culture and hip hop. All right. So we got to keep pushing. Baba Zaid, got to keep pushing, man. All right. This is one of the few places. Shit. The only place, I should say, the only place where these kinds of discussions going, and provide a lane for just local, unknown community, or not known. I won't say unknown, but not known community leaders and organizers, you know.
Yeah.
Other folk, you gotta politic to get on their shows, you get on even they podcasts. You got a politic for podcasts now. You didn't have to do that. Now you got a politic to get on podcasts now.
Right.
So real pleasure, real honor to be on the All Politics local radio show, the number one political hip hop radio show in America, in the world. Hotep.
Thank you, Hotep, brother. Oh, Marquis saying something to you, brother.
Oh, brother, the new open line is here. Woo! No doubt, big brother. Absolutely, brother. No doubt, brother. You know, big shout out to Open Line. No disrespect to Open Line, but you know, we learn, respected. We respect those brothers, and we learn so much, especially M2. But we learn so much.
That's right.
Remember,
for the community.
But Bashir, remember, don't forget, M2 joined All Politics are Local.
That's right. He did. Absolutely.
He was a member of the All Politics are Local, brother.
Why he was on the Open Line, no doubt. You're absolutely correct.
You know, I mean, remember, he was in the studio doing the shows and all of that, and you know, he even talked to us at one point about creating a theme song. Remember, he said that.
Absolutely.
You know, he was talking about the song.
Ashe, pouring libation for our big brother M2, passed on to the ancestor world.
But that's why one thing we're gonna do for sure, Bashir and Zaid, you know, as the mayor run for governor, and them cats, you know, go hard and say something foul about them, we're gonna correct the record right here, right? We're gonna correct.
He's correct too.
No doubt.
They say something foul about them, and you know, because you know they're gonna do it, brother. You know what I mean? Absolutely. That's why I told the mayor, I said, pardon me ahead of time, brother, because I'm gonna be cussing it. They say something out of line, brother. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
All right.
Thank you, B. Good seeing you, brother. Like that hat, brother.
Oh, thank you, brother. It's my little Cubano hat. You know, my little Cubano hat. You know, I went to Cuba. As my Latino brothers and sisters down there would say, they say Cuba. They don't say Cuba like a cube. They say Cuba.
That's the word, Cuba.
Yeah.
Well, you fit right in, man. You look a little Cuban right now, too.
Oh, brother, I was home, brother. It was It was nothing but black. It was a lot of black folk down there, brother. I was like, oh, this is a different kind of country.
Slavery did not end in Cuba until 1884, almost a generation after it landed here in the U.S. Civil War. A whole lot of Africa in Cuba.
Absolutely, and you see
Fidel said Cuba is an African country. That was Fidel.
Yeah, you see the African culture, black culture everywhere in Cuba, no doubt. All right. So look, family, I'll see y'all. Y'all stay strong. All right, TGIF, and have a great weekend. Hotel.
Right.
Peace.
Peace, brother.
All right.
I think, brother, your brother's here.
He's been patient. And Divad, we got you. Right. And we segue into our next segment. And that she was talking about folks who are not known and got a politic to get on podcast land and whatnot. Not here. Just do your work. Just do your work. We see you. We got you. Right. And so I'm pleased to have a brother who, when he joined the Newark Community Street Team, and the Street Team has been one of our leading examples of how to get this thing called community-based violence intervention work done in a systematic and organized and professional way, came in and helped bring another arm to the work, right? Overdose response. And so, drugs are different in the street than when I was in the street, right? We got these opioid addictions going on now, right? And there's a way to deal with that. And to talk about community-based violence intervention without dealing with the drug question is a conversation that ain't complete. But the work of the overdose response work of the Newark Community Street Team is led by this brother Divad Sanders. Brother Divad, are you there? Come on in.
Peace. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you, brother Zaid and brother Edward. I appreciate the invitation. And definitely, it was a deep conversation with our illustrious Mayor Baraka. So I'm glad to be here to be a part of the movement. It's forward only, gentlemen. But thank you.
Well, indeed. Well, let's backtrack and give our folks some basics first, right? First, tell your own story. How did you come to get involved with the community-based violence intervention work and ultimately land with the Newark Community Street Team? Tell us that story, and then let's get into the actual work of the opioid response team.
Starting off, born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. Seth, we just say Seth Boyden Project, State Street Projects. I grew up in a space where addiction and trauma, were prevalent when you're talking about the surroundings, right? We're talking about violence. We're talking about self-hate. We're talking about, police disruption like that. There are all of these aspects to what, our city of Newark expressed in some ways, where my mother, who was a avid community activist, she sleep, woke, walk, talk, ate Newark like it was running through her veins, like it was coursing through her veins. And as a young activist, as a community crusader, as someone at age 17, being a high school senior at Arch High, being recruited for the city in the Conklin, right? She embedded in me that there's a necessary fight, right? But violence isn't always the way. You got to fight with the might of your mind. And so, as I went through life, the goal had been, always to find better ways. As my grandmother used to say, finding new ways of doing old things better, right? And so I've done a lot of volunteer work, as a young man. I got involved with, at the time it was called the Newark Fighting Back Partnership, where, you talk about crime, you talk about violence, you talk about addiction, and the fight against it. It was always about awareness. Then I moved on into, varied work areas that dealt primarily with empowerment of our people. So coming from a young child into a young man, the empowerment of our people had to be the nemesis to the ignorance that is sought when there are violent acts occurring, when there are, destructive practices, not just to our people, but to our communities. And so, I always wanted to find ways to help improve the quality of life for our people. And then that was just like, those humble beginnings, seeing it, living through it, and then finding ways to fight against it at a young age, and then to continue that by empowering our people to do something as well.
Now you actually beat me to the punch about, because this is Women's History Month. I was going to save your mom to the end, but you raised mama, so let's talk about mama for a minute. Mama's got some roots too. Talk about your mama for a minute, because she's got some roots that we share that are really important that folks to appreciate into the shaping of who you are.
So my mother, Donna Sanders, I say that before she got married, and then Donna C, up until she passed away in 2019. Arts High student. She actually double majored in this as well, right? So she used to paint and draw, and then she would sing. And her favorite songstress at the time was Mahalia Jackson, right? And my mother was very, into the church. She had developed through her time a youth-driven program, a Positive Direction, which was under the auspices of 4-H at the time. She had started vocal lessons for Arts High students to help them not just improve as artists and musicians, but improve as people. And so, she was a paralegal. She worked at Prudential. She worked at public service, and then she moved on to working at the city of Newark, where she developed the Improved Newark program. The Improved Newark program was like an whether it was anti-graffiti, anti-littering, how you say it, not loitering, because she even said that, when you have a few people gathered together, it doesn't necessarily mean that they quote unquote up to no good. They may just be up there, as she used to say, rapping a taste, right? So, the goal was to have, individuals doing something positive. And she, spent a lot of time getting people involved in, the Department of Sanitation, involved in local politics, working with the Black Student Union. My mom, she was just so diversified in what she felt were ways to help empower, impact, and improve our people, right? She always taught, in order to change our conditions, the first thing you have to do is change your mind. She was extremely, diligent when it came to helping people think before they acted, take time before they acted, right? To seek out advice before they acted, to connect, with their grandparents and their parents before they acted. And in many cases, it helped a lot of young people. We talk about Prince Street, Spruce, Stella Wright, Stephen Crane, Hill Manor, Brick Towers. Like, my mother would just be all up in these buildings looking for those who needed or sought help, but may not have necessarily known how to actively communicate it. So boom, she would just start singing. And it would pull people together in ways that would want to have them wanting to start singing too, even if they couldn't sing. And so she would say, yo, come on down. We had a space, again, with 4-H. It was a spot, 65 Central Avenue, I remember. Now it's the Newark Museum parking lot. But back then, there used to be a building there that housed young artists, young residents, young people, and it was a safe space that my mother, brother by the name of Willie Brooks, and brother by the name of Kevin Marshall put together. They put their heads together and created a sanctuary for young brothers and sisters to come for after school programming and summer programming. you know, we learned so much in that summer camp together. And mind you, these were kids from, like I said, Seth, Dayton Street. You know, some of my closest friends was at camp with me. And had it not been for that space, you know, that my mother and these gentlemen made, you know, we could have easily become statistics in a way that would have been more adverse than anything else. My mother later moved up to the county. She was the director of transportation. You know, when we're talking about the vehicles that transport the seniors around Essex County. Then she retired. She moved down south. She spent her time loving and laughing. You know, and due to you know certain issues, you know, medically, because my mother was always ripping and running. She lost her ability to sing like she used to, but she still sang from the heart. And you know, on October 1st, 2019, my mother moved on to the next level of her impact on my life from a different plane.
And I remember your mom. Did she have some ties to the party when she was quite young?
I'm sorry, brother. You said what?
I remember your mom. Didn't she have some ties to the party when she was younger?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Definitely. You know, I didn't know if you wanted me to. Hey, listen, and I know if anyone, you would be one of the main individuals to know. But yes, she was definitely a strong, large-hearted member. You know what I'm saying, of the party, and she kept that with her to her grave.
And the party quiet is kept. Now, folks think about the place that young folks came into the movement in the aftermath of the uprising of '67. There was the forces that protected young folks coming up in the aftermath of the uprising were the folks in the party, right? They don't give credit for that, but that's real stuff. I mean, there were armed formations that were in place just in case those fools on the other side of the question were going to really continue to get out of hand after we had taken them to task in '67.
Indeed.
We got to claim that. We got to claim that. So now, your walk. Now, so how does a young man like you wind up with the mighty Newark Community Street Team doing overdose response work?
So at the time, I was working with the Rutgers School of Criminal Justice, Newark Public Safety Collaborative, where you know, the idea of data-informed community engagement was the focus. You look at how do you prevent crimes. You know, it comes as a multifaceted approach. And one aspect to that approach is awareness, right? Not awareness of the crime, but awareness of certain patterns that you may be able to intercept if you help create, you know, spaces for not just conversation, but activation. And that was my position as far as being, you know, a conduit between the data and then the actual community engagement. As I saw the efforts being made, right, by the Newark Community Street Team at the time, it was just like, this is a no-brainer, right? If there's a way that I can help, right, just because of how I saw, you know, from Safe Passage, right, the ways that you know, our brothers and sisters were interacting with these younger brothers and sisters to keep their heads, excuse me, in a more positive direction. My next thing was, who do I have to talk to? And I wound up talking to Solomon and Akili Sherrills, just like, how can I help? And then that conversation turned into, how do we translate, you know, data, quantifiable, when there's qualitative, right? There's the way people feel. There's the emotionality of what's going on in our communities. And so that turned into larger conversations in, well, what do we do to effectuate that change? All right, you got all this information, you got all the data. That's all well and good. What do we do? Newark Community Street Team was the, what do you do with that information?
Yes.
And so, oh, I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Keep rolling.
And so when the opportunity came, because and you know, brother Zaid, you know firsthand, a lot of the departments and the programs that came through NCST were derived from personal experiences and trauma. So when individuals would say, "Hey, this happened to me, or this happened to my child, or this happened to my family member. Let's develop a program to help make a change in that area." It then developed. You know, you have so many personal instances, right, where members of our organization have lost family members to opioid overdoses, and there weren't people around to help. There wasn't the administration of Narcan. There wasn't rescue breaths. There wasn't care coordination. There are people, and this is what's unfortunate, because opioid overdoses are preventable. No one has to die. Nobody has to die. But yet, you know, you have a system in place where the same perpetrators of killing our people are now the ones trying to. Now, I don't know if I should talk about it on this. I don't want to start no.
This is where we let it get down. But you get down right here.
The same companies that created the opioids have created the anti-opioid. So the one, I'm sorry.
Mic dropper. Go ahead. Keep right. Keep you good. You good.
So the ones who caused the problems are now beating themselves on the chest for creating a solution. My thing is this: we've gone beyond what Narcan is, and we've turned it into what people do. And then Narcan becomes a tool to help save lives when opioid overdoses and fentanyl is decimating our population. So I say that because, like, I'm a problem solution type person, right? Analytical, critical, logical, rational thinking. And, you know, when you come from a place in a space where you know awareness makes a difference, when you know having the right people in places makes a difference, when you know that coming from the heart makes a difference, then when this program was developed, because there were particular instances of our, you know, community members that brought this on, the need is there. How do we do something about it? So Solomon hit me up. We started that conversation, and you know, the Newark Community Street Team overdose response team came to life in May of 2022. It had already been in the works, right? The year before, and it's like during COVID, when COVID was very heavy. They, and I say they, I'm talking about, you know, NCST. They sought to get information from the community, right? This isn't empirical data, right? They went into the communities talking to the people that later would either be the ones who were needing the services or the ones who had services and knew exactly what was needed. So over 400 individuals were both identified as potential interviewees, were then solidified as interviewees, had the conversation, had another conversation, compiled the information, and then created a skeleton for the overdose response department. When I was brought on, there was already an idea of what could be done. The key then was what would be the best practices in order to make it happen. And it was an idea. It was just an idea. And the right people were brought to the table. The right partners were then initiated. The right perspectives were brought, right, from a local level, county level, state level, national level. Like it morphed into something more than I think anyone thought it was going to be, simply because you had the right people doing the right things for the right reason
at the right time.
At the right time, brother. Definitely. So, you know,
the stream of resources that has just that's always that are at play right? That we always have to fight for to try and do this work. Why don't you say something about why these resources are important to make this work go and become stabilized and sustained, so we can save more lives, proving that we know how to do that now.
Right. One of the hardest pills that our community continuously swallows is that the issue is not going to get better if we don't do something proactive now, right? It's always going to be an issue of opioids. It's always going to be an issue of fentanyl because it's so readily available. And the consequence there is fentanyl is used to stretch their heroin and to stretch the pills, right? Back in the day, it used to be sweet and low and Tylenol, right? If you was trying to stretch the bricks, heroin, or you was trying to stretch the coke or whatever. But now, they're using a synthetic opioid that is 50 times more addictive than the heroin they're mixing it with.
That's right. That's
Right? But what happens here is the fentanyl, and this is a distinction, right? A fentanyl, when you have an opioid overdose, it's not the abundance of a substance in the person's body, but an abundance of the opioids in the body preventing them from breathing. So while in some cases, people can go to the hospital real quick or get some cold water thrown on their face, when we're talking about an opioid overdose and a fentanyl overdose, the person is not breathing at all, right? There's a block between the brain communicating to the body, hey, you need to take this oxygen in. And until those receptors, right, in the brain have those opioids removed, because this is another aspect. And when we're talking about resources, right, we're talking about information, we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about being able to have accessibility to Narcan, right? But at the end of the day, if people don't know what Narcan is and what an actual opioid overdose is, then it becomes harder to then say, hey, if you have the quote unquote information, you get a little pamphlet, or, if you have Narcan available at a pharmacy, that's going to be enough. No, right? You gotta have programs, like with what we do at the overdose response team, whereby we're educating the community, not just in how to use Narcan, not just in where to get Narcan, but to be empowered enough to do something, period.
Yeah.
Right? The resources and the people.
Yeah.
So now, if you don't have, let's say, enough funding, quote unquote, enough funding for programs that work, then it'll be programs that don't necessarily work, not doing enough.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
If you have programs that work leading programs that want to work, it could change the whole trajectory of what's going on, not just in our city, but this fentanyl epidemic is a global problem, right? And I say that because, like,
it ain't just our hoods too.
See, and this is what I'm talking about, right? Because you have so many instances where individuals are overdosing and people just walk past because they're desensitized to what that trauma looks like, or they don't feel empowered enough to do something about it. Now, people are quick to pull out their phones, put it up on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook Live or something.
Right, you're right. Mm-hmm.
But not call, and this is the thing, call 911 and know exactly what to say.
That's right.
Right? Because that's another aspect, right? A resource in that knowledge base, right? Not just calling 911 as a help and say, hey, I got somebody overdosing over here. Because then the police are going to get involved. And this is one of the aspects to overdose incidents that we're trying to work to decrease, right? Are the arrests associated with an opioid overdose incident, right? And I'm not knocking anybody that's trying to help. But the idea is when you call 911, you say, I have someone who is not breathing and unresponsive. That's basic life support. You go and get EMT or EMS from the hospital and the fire department. And then you have a higher probability of the individual not just getting the necessary help,
Right.
but then not being re-traumatized,
Right.
right? Because police presence sometimes, is going to re-traumatize or trigger somebody
Sir.
when it's not necessarily, something that had to happen. So, going back to the idea of resources, we're always going to talk about the funding and the need for not just supporters financially, but also supporters in the services that they already get paid to provide. Right? When we're talking about entities that provide detox, or we're talking about entities that provide mental health, or we're talking about entities that provide legal help with issues, right? The more of those entities that are at the table that really want to work, right? Like we got Newark Community Solutions and the Rutgers Law Associates. They really want to work. Why? Because they care about the people that they're helping. Boom. When you talk about detox, right? It's not just a check in a box. When we're talking about Integrity House, we're talking about, the Center of Excellence. When we're talking about Greater Essex Counseling LLC down on Branford Place, right? We have people who actually want to help and see somebody do better, see somebody have more, see somebody have better. When you're talking about the Trauma Recovery Center, you know what I'm saying, at Newark Community Street Team, when you're talking about high risk intervention and hospital violence intervention, and they're working with our people who are fighting addiction as well, it's because they care. You know how many times I could do, and I could do is high risk intervention, and he's saved just by going through our Narcan education classes. He has saved almost a half a dozen lives by himself out there doing the work he already does. Now imagine if people were doing the work that they already do, but they were empowered with the resources of having Narcan in their possession, of knowing what to do, of knowing that you have to do what you can as long as you can, because it's not a one size fit all, right? You use Narcan one time on one person, that person might need 5. Doing what you can with what you have as long as you can is what matters. So it's like, if we have more people who are vigilant in doing what they do, and part of that is seeing people live, it would make such a dramatic difference because they're doing it from a place of love for our people. Man, listen, I was talking about this all day.
Take a peek. Go ahead, jump in.
What I wanted to ask, brother, when did, well, 2 questions really. When did fentanyl become so famous, man? Because remember, at one point, what was ravaging our community was crack. Now, we got this fentanyl, and as you said, it's way more addictive and way more powerful. And I don't know if you remember, but it was in the news, I guess, a couple of months back. Remember, they caught a couple of cats in the Bronx who was making this stuff in the house, and it was so powerful that it actually killed the child.
The baby, the fumes killed the baby.
Fumes. That's right, Donna.
Yeah. So, like, when did this become so famous, and why the hell is it so addictive? And it is so powerful that the fumes could kill you.
And Mr. Sanders, fentanyl is I correct in saying when you see an anesthesiologist sitting at the monitor while somebody's having a surgical procedures, fentanyl is one of the medicines that they're using because it was primarily used for surgery, and that's why the doctor has to be there watching it to monitor the breathing and the heartbeat of the person, because it works is so strong that it could take a person out like that. That was a question, Mr. Sanders.
Did we lose him? I hope he didn't. Divad, come back in as soon as you can. I think we lost him for a hot second. We were rolling too.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about that, like I mean, all of a sudden this thing just hit the marketplace, man. And all of a sudden you started seeing people nodding out like they want like it was the 60s all over again, man.
The
You know,
syrup and
yeah. And you see folks don't and if this stuff is this dangerous, why in the hell are people doing it, man?
nothing new under the
Well,
sun.
that's trauma. See, from a trauma informed
Mhm.
lens, right? People harmed, not knowing how to address their harm, sometimes do harmful things to themselves to anesthetize what they're dealing with. That's the heart of what drives drug addiction,
Mm.
right? I'm gonna get high through this, right? That's how
Well,
I'm gonna deal.
No
and
matter how
Zaid,
powerful this is.
look, and listen, our government knew this. During COVID, everything was shut down but liquor stores. They said that they needed to keep liquor stores up
Yeah, they did.
open
Yeah.
because people were going to need something um, to anesthetize. Was I said what they're feeling or what they're going through,
And
and so
that was true.
yeah.
Because I can tell you, I've seen, I mean, listen, I can tell you that the building I live in, and Kim will bear me witness, when you would see them, because you have to separate cans and bottles. Let me tell you something, man. We've never seen so many cans and bottles, liquor bottles and wine
Mm-hmm.
bottles. I mean, I've never seen that. So you're right, Donna. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
one thing, if nobody was making money, them damn liquor stores was making money.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and the irony of how COVID was very harmful to many businesses, but it was helpful to the liquor store, and because they were the one store that you can go and you can get a takeout meal and go to the liquor store and buy whatever you wanted, and they had hours, regular hours, and they were encouraged to stay open.
And you know this, Donna, in Jersey City, right? In these 4-star buildings, they had deliveries. They had
Hmm.
delivering that alcohol.
Yeah, what's the app now? Drip. It's a app, and to say that, and the businesses that as a result of that became a business that you could deliver alcohol,
Yeah,
and they didn't have to listen. The circles you normally would have to go through to get a license to sell liquor, that kind of move fast that they let that um, they approved that liquor could be delivered.
mm,
Now, if we were thinking about this, you might say, well, what if that's a 15 or 16-year-old, going in the app and doing all of that? All of that, it was just, it really, they pushed it through for, the purpose of making sure that people had something.
Push it through for
Um,
social control.
right. Remember, because remember Mayor Baraka was not in a rush, and I know Mayor Green wasn't either. Was not in a rush to open the clubs and the bars back up. Um, you didn't want the problems that may have with people being, and but one of the things that Mayor Baraka said that the numbers of drug abuse were more post COVID than it was pre COVID.
Yeah,
And he said that early on.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know the last time if he's mentioned it. When how has he recently looked at the numbers to see where we are now?
Yeah, and that's trauma on the one hand, and COVID as a entity and its impact was an anxiety trigger, was
Mhm.
a personal and collective anxiety trigger. I know what the hell it did to me, but aside from damn near killing me, right? It was a crazy anxiety trigger for a lot of folks. So if you already out there and into something, you ain't got no business already doing yourself harm, right? And then
Mhm.
something else becomes more available to you,
Mhm.
right? Uh, and that's just out there more. You gonna see the consequences of that being out there more. You
And then
know.
and also the reason now we know before COVID and when Governor Christie was still in office, how he um, had strong legislation against opioid and how they were um, being subscribed because he had one of his closest friends overdose. And when that happened, he came out with some of the strongest laws. Um, the way the medicine was prescribed, you couldn't fax it in anymore. You had to take it in by hand. Um, it was a whole, different process. And and it's funny because we say when things hit home, people react differently, and that hit home for Governor Christie. And as a result, we probably in New Jersey has some of the strongest laws in this area in terms of obtaining pain medicine, opioids, and things.
Yeah. Just a quick note, and I don't know if he's going to be able to get back on. It looks like we lost him. I know he was
Hmm.
trapped, right? But one of the reasons why we brought Divad on when we did is because next Wednesday, the 20th of March at 11 a.m., the Newark Community Street Team's opioid emergency response team is going to co-host a workshop with the Newark Public Library at the Newark Public Library, simply entitled "I Want to See You Live." Right, a workshop on the
Hmm.
principles of harm reduction and the use of naloxone to reverse opioid overdose. There's a link for it on the Newark Public Library web page. I'll try and get it on the YouTube page for folks to register. So it's another tool, and Divad, rightly laid it out as another tool in terms of what harm reduction looks like. I want to shout out as saying that too. My young folks in Patterson doing Black Lives Matter work. Black Lives Matter work in Patterson, strong on police violence and then fighting for justice on that front, recently moved into the harm reduction uh, lane of community service and are beginning to do some work in a town that has a very, very serious um, addiction problem. Patterson is a very serious problem. So I'm proud to see folks stepping up and trying to address. Let me try and put this, see if I can.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was trying to get it for you while you talk too, like,
Let me
and
get it.
there's
I appreciate it.
and I don't know if you mentioned when Brother David was on, I
Divide. His name
believe
is. It is spelled
Divide.
with
Divide. I know I seen
Divide.
David is Divide, but there is
I said
current.
David too.
You know, it's funny how our brains see things, and is there's a commercial out there now that um uh, what's the medicine that can immediately reverse the effects of opioid. You can go into the drugstore and you can ask for it and you can get it free so you can have it in case like he was saying, you walk by and you see somebody overdosing that you can administer it to them. It's that amount of overdoses that we're seeing these days.
And there's a way to do it too, and that's what the workshop is all about.
But
And it's a need to put into play also the other resources that needed to be in place to help a person survive that overdose wave, and then begin to shift their
Hmm.
thinking into another kind of behavior, so they live. And hence it gets that title, "I Want to See You Live." You know, so
But I really did want to know that answer, Zay, because I'm telling you, man, I
yeah.
remember all of a sudden how you started seeing these kids ill, like, and I'm like, what is that?
I
I
know.
thought
Hmm.
it was
Strong.
heroin, right?
It's
Hmm.
strong. It's
I
easy
thought
to
it was
it's easy to
heroin,
reproduce.
yeah, you know,
Well, you have the chemists out there who um, to use their power for good or bad, but it is a medicine that's used in for surgical procedures. So you can imagine how strong it is.
Mhm. It is strong as hell. And all you need is one touch too many, one time, and you out of here.
Yeah,
And it does that to people.
but think about something that's so powerful that the fumes of it can kill you.
Mhm. And
Right? I
and
mean, that's crazy.
it's two drugs out there like that. It's the fentanyl, and one that they're not talking about it as much anymore is the crystal meth as well too. I know there was a situation in West Orange probably about 3 or 4 years ago that they had a house that was being used as a crystal meth lab, and that it might have blown up, but also the fumes, you know, harmed a lot of people as well.
Yeah, strong stuff. Strong,
Hmm.
toxic stuff.
And when you know Dick Wolf is covering it on Law and Order, you know it's serious because Dick Wolf has done a lot on fentanyl, opioid, and a lot of the different cases that he's been doing on Law and Order, SVU, or Chicago PD.
How you find time to watch all that stuff on TV?
Because it's called streaming. You can watch it when you want to. You let it pile up, and then one day when you're in there, you just
This is
I
the
know
new
Rhino sent me to watch a couple of things on. Thank God for the streaming. Now I know the Wu Tang one. That was one that got me. Oh my gosh, the Wu Tang one. I'm like, who was the manager of the group from
we don't talk about Wu-Tang here, but you watch it all kinds of.
But I'm saying, but streaming is what it is. You watch it at your convenience. You don't have to watch it at ABC, CBS's, or NBC convenience. You're doing it at your convenience.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. So we got to get Divad back on. But to remind everybody that the workshop is next Wednesday, 11 a.m., Newark Public Library. I want to see you live. The opioid response team of the mighty Newark Community Street Team in partnership with the Newark Public Library on a workshop on how to be practical and real and getting people the help they need when they need it the most. Good work, really important work. And we continue to do the work, saving lives and turning the corner on this violence on our streets. DJ Rhino has
Well,
come.
as we were turning the corner, right on, who was like the manager of Wu Tang? Who am I thinking of?
The manager.
Or what was his what a brother, what a one who kind of managed and
I know. RZA's brother Devon.
RZA. That's what RZA is. RZA. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So RZA, if and he talked about the person who played him, talk about how he set, with him and kind of prepared for that part. But I was like, if I just it just made RZA such a interesting person. Like he never, to be because he all of the people that were in the Wu Tang, all the different personalities, they all would come with different concerns and issues, and he would just stay so focused and on track. It was just amazing, and I would love, one day just to talk to him and see, he didn't get emotional about it. He listened and made a decision that was best for the whole group, and it was really interesting. It seems like he was a tremendous organizer for them.
Definitely. Yeah, RZA was the one to put that whole thing together. He was the man behind the idea. He saw the
Hmm.
vision.
And he had long vision. He had vision like
Different.
before, and for him to have, he had to keep coming back and and bringing the vision back to them, like even the point of moving them in the house. I think the house was in Jersey, and just getting them away from distractions and everything. And it was yeah, I would love to just have like a one-on-one. He was really focused, and even with that the tour that they did, and they did a tour too with, didn't they do something with a rock band?
Back in the day, yeah, I think
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, and that was
Rage,
like,
Rage was political as hell too.
Yeah.
Rage was one of the first rock groups to come out for me and Abu Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
Rage was political as hell. We love
Yep.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Big
so
ups to Tom Murata and Zach.
what's up with that WBLS shirt?
Well, today is Mr. Magic's birthday. Rest in peace,
Okay.
Mr. Magic, John Rivers. Yeah, we lost him October 9th. October 15th or let me see. I know we lost him in 2009. October 2nd, 2009, we lost Mr. Magic.
Mhm.
Mr. Magic was an integral part of getting rap music on the radio, radio waves. You know, even before BLS, he was on a radio station, WHBI, WHBI.
Down in DC.
Yeah, and he had his Rap Attack show on there first.
That's it.
Yeah.
Rap Attack.
Rap Attack, yeah.
So
And,
he was doing that DC. That's the home of DJ Rhino's wife, right? What's the music? What's the music down in Go? Yeah.
But then Frankie Crocker ended up pulling Mr. Magic along onto BLS and giving him a spot on BLS to play rap music, and that set it off. Then after a while, we had, of course, Kiss FM. Once Kiss FM was started, they took on the same formula, and they had.
Hold up. I got a Seton Hallize conversation because there's a whole lot of Seton Hallists on the show, Ed and Bashir and all of that, right? Don't forget my brother from that I grew up with, Bob Sumner at WSOU, playing hip hop before the big boys was playing.
At Seton Hall?
That's right. WSOU FM.
Wow. Okay.
That's right.
He's the principal of the legendary Chief Rocker.
That's right. And he would later go off and build up Def Jam Comedy in partnership with Russell Simmons. Right?
And so that's how Def Jam was over at the Peppermint, because he was right here at Seton Hall. Look at that. So the story goes. Okay.
Started the company at Peppermint. That's right.
Yeah, so definitely, want to say happy born to Mr. Magic and rest in power. He was the man. That was Sir Juice. He was the man behind the Juice Crew. He was the one that put Marley Marl on. Marley Marl was his sound engineer at the radio station. Became his DJ and then his producer when they started their own label. Magic and Marley Marl were the ones, as well as Fly Tie. They were the ones who put out Roxanne Shante, who did the Response record, Roxanne's Revenge to UT Codes, Roxanne, which sparked a whole thing.
She was a kid. She killed that.
Yeah, man. And that was the thing about Roxanne Shante.
Yeah, young she was.
Like 14, 15 years old.
She was a kid. She killed that.
And she was knocking out like dudes in their 20s. She was killing them.
Has she been on the show yet?
She's been on the show back when we were at the studio. She's been on the show. Yeah, when the when the biopic first came out, we had.
That's what I was going to say. Zaid. The biopic is still available on Netflix. You can you can watch it at your convenience.
Yeah, but so she was the queen of Juice Crew.
She was when I was 14, 15 years old.
Yeah. She was the queen of Juice Crew, and then MC Shan, of course, who was really kind of before her. Then you had Big Daddy Kane and Cool G Rap, Biz Markie, and it just grew. Rest in peace to Granddaddy IU. Big ups to Master Ace, Craig G. So and rest in peace, Biz Markie. But that was the Juice Crew, and that name, that title came from Mr. Magic, who was part of the Juice Crew that was before the rappers. There was a Juice Crew. I don't remember everybody. I know Curtis Blow was part of it. Fly Tie was part of it. There was a few people that was part of the original Juice Crew, but they were like, boss players, you know what I mean, in the game coming in. So
why did I just, when you said the Juice Crew, it made me just think of I saw you walking in the rain.
About Orange Jones.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Divad is back. Oh, Mr. Sanders.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Can we ask him the
I
last question?
apologize.
No, wait. Let him lift up the workshop. I know you. We know you're traveling. It's all good, right? Let him lift up the workshop
I'm so
on
sorry.
Wednesday. Then you hit him with the ritual question, Donna.
No, I was going to ask him a question that he fell off on, the last question about fentanyl.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
Mr.
I'm
Sanders,
sorry.
no, that's
Yes.
we understand. And our DJ is with us, so the DJ will be asking that question. But Mr. Sanders, Ed wanted to know, where did fentanyl come from? And I believe in my reading, I read that fentanyl was actually a surgical medicine, and it's one of the medicines that the anesthesiologists use, and um, that's the purpose. When you see an anesthesiologist sitting there while the surgery is going on, he has to monitor how the person is doing because of the type of medicines that they're getting, one of them being fentanyl, and how the person's body is responding to it. So Ed wanted to know, where did this fentanyl come from and why is it so plentiful now?
So, sister, you are correct. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, right? So it is developed by man, right, to help deal with pain, right? And when we're talking about pain, we're talking about, whether it be during surgery, right, during, medical situations in the hospital, and even afterwards is, a part of a regimen. The consequence with fentanyl, right, it's like when it's monitored, it can help a lot, right? The issue is it's easy to get, right? You can have fentanyl mailed to your house from China right now, and it'll go under the radar. Why? Because they don't have fentanyl sniffing dogs, right? So there's nobody that's going to be alarmed if it comes through the mail. It's a cheaper, as we used to call it, a cheaper cut when we're talking about what's used to help stretch, right, another substance. And so because it's easy to get and it's cheap, right, it is cheap. Being a synthetic opioid, the addictive properties are so much higher that using it as a cut is actually helping to augment the heroin, augment the cocaine, right? To the point where you have people who are seeking the fentanyl more than they would do. Now, where did it come from, right? It goes back to the idea that it was supposed to be like all of the pharmacologicals that we see for pain medication and tolerance. It was supposed to be used to help individuals get through a particular point in their medical journey. The problem came in where pharmaceutical companies saw that there was extra money to be made, right? So when you had pharmacists, giving a couple of extra bottles out the back door, when you had individuals who would get their pain medication and then sell it on to somebody who was on the block, it's creating problems. When you get these fake scripts that were being written for opioids, it's creating problems. So now, when the idea came, hey, well, we got this synthetic opioid that's even cheaper than the ones we giving out now. The availability of the fentanyl, though it had been available in the hospitals, started hitting the streets just a little while ago. So you see in 2017, it's an epidemic, but they don't want to talk about it, right? It was hitting all over, even before 17. But once, and this is just, just keep it real. We always see when it's affecting Black people, it'll remain a problem. Once it affects some other ethnicity, now it's an issue, and everybody got to rise up and find solutions. And there's going to be all of these, opportunities to help make a difference. But fentanyl
And Donna was alluding to that when you drop. Yeah, keep riding. You on it?
Okay. Fentanyl just became another easy way to get our people addicted and never turn back around. It didn't have to make it to the streets. It could have stayed in the hospitals where it was. But whoever's bright idea was to mix it with an already dangerous, substance was crazy. And here's the other thing. Once it hit the street, now mind you, it's cheap. It's cheap.
Right.
So once it hit the street, you get these folks mixing and meshing and chopping up and then bagging it up. You don't know how much fentanyl is in whatever.
Right.
How much fentanyl is in that bag, right? But over time, because of its addictive properties, right? And here's the other thing. You can't tell people about a batch that's killing people, right? You can't be like, oh, that major league is hurting folk. Where it's at? Oh, it's over there on Springfield and South 19th. Because even though it's killing people, that's what rises the interest. That's what's going to get more people going over to Springfield and whatever, right?
Right.
Because they say, oh, it might have killed that person, but it won't kill me. The idea that we can have someone have an overdose reversed. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm with you.
You can have someone have an overdose reversed, and not only will they be mad that you reversed it and messed up they groove, and will be just as quick to go back to the block to get another bag. Why? Because those addictive properties are right there smacking our people in the face. And when that money became an attractor, right? Because that's the other thing. When people are dying, when people are being arrested, when people are being hospitalized, it's somebody else that's getting paid off for all of that. And it's not us, but being paid off by trauma thing. So I share that because, though fentanyl had always been present, it made its mark, on our blocks, some years ago, and it just progressively got worse. But it didn't become a mainstream thing until people that weren't black and brown started getting affected and dying from it. Now you see fentanyl. And this is the thing. You hear fentanyl, but have you heard of car fentanyl? See, because it hasn't started killing enough other people, right? Car fentanyl is more powerful than fentanyl. But until it affects somebody other than us, you're not going to really hear about it, right?
And are you saying like a car, like a Cadillac or something? Are you saying like a car, like a car you drive?
If we were spelling it, yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Oh, but it's an acronym for something.
No, it's the, I guess you could say in this sense, the prefix of fentanyl. So car fentanyl. That's what we spelled. I said exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
The reality of it is it's a derivative of fentanyl that's been synthesized in a manner that makes it more not just addictive but more powerful than the actual fentanyl.
Okay. And would you say it became more popular because I also had told that Christie, New Jersey, laws became very strict. Christie hammered down, so to speak, on opioids after he was personally hit with one of his dear friends overdose on opioids, and he changed the whole way you were able to get prescription painkillers, so people then began going to where they didn't have to go through such scrutiny, which led more people to the blocks because they couldn't get it from the doctor anymore. Did we lose you again, Mr. Sanders? Oh, there you go.
No, I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were making a statement. I
I
didn't
was
know if it
asking
was.
you a question that the time that it changed, when the opioid uh, it changed on, the laws changed on how doctors can prescribe them, and it sent more people to the streets. That's all I said.
So, yeah, so we see that if it's just impacting our people, then it's one set of laws. The moment it impacts another group of people, then those laws become more punitive to our people, right? So, going back to what you said, sister, um, that that's with the opioids, right? The fentanyl is a whole another ballgame, right? And it's unfortunate because when we start looking at what the opioids have to do, the fentanyl is just making it 50 times worse, right? Opioids, people will be out there, zoning, not lean. Fentanyl, they flat out on the ground dying. And that's the biggest difference. So it's like when people were being accosted and arrested because they had syringes or they were in possession of whatever, right? Whether it was oxycontin, Percocet, right? But it wasn't part of their prescription. People were being penalized. But with the fentanyl added to it, now they're dying just as well. I'm interested in seeing what happens next when you have more substances coming into the fold that are impacting our people beyond and inclusive of them.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there. There's some crazy stuff. Well, I know as we begin to wind down, our DJ is here, and our DJ has a question for you, Mr. Sanders. DJ Rhino?
You muted, Rhino.
Please, brother. You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We like to ask all of our guests, being that this is a political hip hop show, we also like to ask our guests: is there anybody of the hip hop culture that you listen to or that you're familiar with that you kind of use as a go-to for the work that you do? Is there anybody that inspires you in the hip hop culture? We have so many different types of artists, so many different eras of hip hop, but is there someone new or old, doesn't have to be anybody from today, but is there somebody in hip hop that you admire or that you look up to or look towards for inspiration in the work that you do?
And I can only give one.
Okay.
No, I'm asking. I can only give one.
You get as much as you want.
You can tell us whoever. It doesn't have to be just one.
Listen, my brother and I, as we were on the road, he let me be the on-road DJ, right? So when I'm thinking about what do I use to keep me inspired, it's X-Clan, it's KRS-One,
yeah,
it's Eric B. and Rakim,
all right,
it's J. Rue the Damager.
Ooh.
It's
okay.
When we were talking about groups, right? It's the Hit Squad, Terror Squad, Flip Mode, right?
Yeah.
Old school. We were talking Run DMC. We was talking Houdini, right? And I say this because when I laugh because so many times as a young kid and a young man, the lyrics during those times did one or two things. You either had to grab a history book or a dictionary.
That's right.
Because they were using terms that I didn't know, that I wanted to learn, and they were talking about subjects and people and time and places that I wasn't being taught in school.
Right.
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 when you're talking about inspiration, I got to go back to the music that was inspiring and empowering our people, right? So when I talk about X-Clan, right? Heed the word of the brother. Well, talking in ways that impact, not just making people want to dance, but I'm talking about impacting our minds and our hearts and our spirits.
Booba Carson, the son of Booba Dick and Sonny Carson. I go back with Daddy more than I do with Son. And let me tell you something about X-Clan real quick. I'm glad you lifted them up. When we started that fight in New York City over what became the African burial ground, it was Black Watch, the organization of X-Clan, that was the first to sit in on that space. I had happened to come on the space. I called up all the comrades. I said, we got a situation right here that we got to deal with, right? Yes.
Wow.
Black Watch and X-Clan, right?
Yeah.
So, and Lumumba was like that. I love that little brother. Missed the hell out of him.
Yeah. Thank you for that, brother Zaire.
And of course, I'm from Plainfield. They also brought the funk in hip hop too.
That's right.
Well, listen, Plainfield is where it started when you talk about that. And DJ Rhino, thank you for that question, man. You know, because
definitely thank you for the answers, man. I love that.
Zay, did you want Mr. Sanders to say something about next week, or
just to remind everybody about it? But before we get to that, and thank you, Don. And before we ultimately come by, the workshop on Wednesday, folks should also know that Divad can get down on the microphone too. He's got his own history, that a lot of folks don't know about, right? And I remember the day I met the kid. He was the scene stealer at a set that we did at Rutgers about 7-8 years ago or whatnot.
So you're saying if we asked him now that he could give us a couple of bars or something? That's what you're saying? If we asked him to do a little freestyle, you can do a little freestyle for us? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sanders?
I never have a problem ever at all.
All right. Could you give us a minute of freestyling?
Yeah, not a problem.
All right. We're ready when you are.
Don't overlook the context. I'm complex and contemporary. Temple ready like your beliefs be the contrary. Superstar I vary in my comparison. Scribe notes on my tongue, so when I spit, count the amount of suns. My vision is the ambition, so add in my philosophy. Some social interaction, psychology at high velocity. Add in a fraction of methodology, possible terms of probably, properly. Present the present path and remedy pathology, never. Secondary, I buried the lower part of me, resurrect the intercepted perpendicular prodigy. So I live my life like it's legendary. The consequences of work only complicates the completion of my obituary.
Yeah.
Mr. Sanders,
you sound like we got to get you in the booth.
Yes.
I can't wait to some beats.
Now I'm listening, and one thing I see, like I love Jada Kiss, but one thing I say about artists and anybody who's always ready to freestyle, I have to believe that you're an avid reader, and that like even Rhino, when you have your notebooks and things like that, that is something that you continually write, you read, and it's in there, so it's automatically gonna come out because you've put the information inside of you.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. One of the things that my mother always said, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
I know that's right. That's right.
Stay ready.
All right. So next time you're coming back to for your as a hip hop artist, and you're gonna let us know what you're doing next, and we hope to be back in the studio soon.
Listen, I would love to do so. In addition, and I have a crew who would be just as willing to do so as well. Always about the uplifting of our people, always about the forward mobility, of our youth, always talking about positivity. And that's just what we're about, right? So yeah, I would be more than happy to come back and bring as many people as I can to help promote this space, because this is a necessary space to be had. So thank you again for having me on the
Indeed.
call.
Right on, beloved.
And before you leave, I know the DJ world lost. They said the first female rapper of Def Jam passed. So just want to send the love to her. Did you see
Yeah,
that, Rhino?
yeah. Lachelle Laws, originally from Detroit. She ended up moving to LA after, I believe, after high school, and she went by the name of Boss, and she was discovered by DJ Quick out in LA, and Quick brought her music to Russell Simmons at Def Jam. Russell Simmons signed her immediately, and she became the first female of Def Jam West Records. And we just lost her the other day. Yeah, we lost her. I think she was 54. Yeah.
Dang, so young, man.
Yeah.
And she was dope too. She was real dope.
Yeah, I remember her. She had swag.
Yeah, she really did. She had a lot of swag and attitude, you know. But yeah, and she held her own, you know. But we lost the sister. We lost the queen just the other day. So rest in peace to Boss, aka Lachelle Laws, Def Jam West.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Don't be a stranger. And if you ever have anything that you know that you need to get out at the moment, please know that you can jump right on and let us know. If there's something important that we need to get out to community, know that you have a mic always waiting for you to get that information out.
Thank you, Sister Donna K. And listen, as what Brother Zaid was alluding to earlier, we're hosting a Narcan education session on March 20th from 11 to 12 o'clock at the Newark Public Library. So, you know, if anyone who is either directly or indirectly impacted or just wants to be empowered to know what to do with Narcan and learn more about it, you are more than welcome to join our space. It's being advertised at the Newark Public Library as well. So March 20th, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Thank you again.
Right on. Good work, beloved. Keep doing it. Keep turning it up.
Bless up, for sure.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Yes, peace. Have a great weekend and be well. Stay safe.
All right, beloved.
And thank you again, Brother Zaid. You know I got your back anytime you need.
Yes, sir. Good stuff.
Yeah, those lyrics, man. Those lyrics were tough.
Man, let me tell you.
Yes.
I met Divad. Kalina. Kalina was at Rutgers, Newark, and hosted something. I forget the name of the entity that she hosted it for. But it was a spoken word night that featured, Ed, you turned in right on time, that featured the sister who was responsible for the embrace of Rutgers, Newark, of all politics and local. The outgoing retired assistant provost, Marsha Brown, myself, and a few other young folks that I really didn't know, but they were, more like Kalina's age, because Kalina is a bit younger than I am, right? I could be Kalina's father, right? But Divad was one of those young folks. And he was, I forget the character. He was playing the street character, right? And he did this monologue / freestyle that blew everybody away, right? He had already been on Def Jam comedy. Right. I mean, Def Jam poetry. I'm sorry. He had already been on.
I can go back and look him. Does he have a different name, or just look him up under
Divad Sanders?
Okay, I'm gonna go back and look that up. Yeah, because you know who he, Wise Intelligence. He made me think of Wise Intelligence. From
Poor Righteous Teachers.
Yes. He was one of my favorite. What's he doing these days, DJ Rhino?
He's doing a lot of lecturing, man. He is. Yeah, wow. he's always talking to the people. That's been his thing since Poor Righteous Teachers. He's always been on that.
Yeah, every time I hear something, he's been on a panel. Yeah, he's been on the panels and things. We have to get him on here then. We have to work that out.
Most definitely. It'd be real good to get Wise Intelligent on it.
But you know what? Before we move on with Rhino, you know what I like about that brother, Divad Sanders, is how knowledgeable he is about that.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, he's definitely his mother's child.
Yeah, I appreciate that
Mhm.
because and he's right. Like, how did that stuff get to the street the way that they got? And he's right, because I can remember Zaid, back in the day when I was coming through, and I'm gonna date myself, Zaid, you gonna know what I'm talking about. When they were putting Sebas and codeine in the street back in the day,
God.
the way the hits were getting in the street was exactly the same way he said.
Yes.
How that they were passing them out the back
That's
door.
70 stuff. Yes.
You know what I mean? And when I was coming through, people would shoot to New York, right up in Harlem, and go to a local drugstore where you could get somebody who would sell you. You come back to Newark and you selling their hits, right? Sebas and codeines. And so when he said that, he's absolutely right.
That's
but,
right.
But you see how, I mean, I don't, but again, like you said, Zaid, it's trauma, right? So, why would we want to go and use something that deadly, that harmful to us, right? And remember what he said. He said that stuff causes you to stop breathing.
That's
right.
That's
So you need something to bring you back. When you're not breathing, in my mind, I think you're telling me I'm dead. Right.
That's right.
And why? And then he said that when he bring these people back, he said they be upset and go right back and want to do it again.
That's right. We're supposed to interrupt. Right? You don't interrupt it, one, with their high, and two, their unconscious desire to take themselves out because they've been traumatized and they're that depressed.
Right. And that's why when he was saying that, I'm like, yo, see this, and like somebody said, we would not get this kind of information on CNN, right?
That's right.
And we need a brother like him, man, to really break that down, and then he need to take that conversation to high schools, right?
What they do?
Yeah,
that's one of the things.
Because them kids need to know that if you get to an overdose level, you dead, man.
All you need is one bad hit.
Yeah,
you out.
Yeah,
you out.
And Zaid, when I first started seeing that stuff, DJ Rhino, I thought it was like methadone. I thought it was, I didn't know what that stuff was. I thought they were shooting dope again. And when I found out it was fentanyl, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What is that? And then you heard him say that he never said how much it cost, but he said it's extremely cheap. That's how crack got on the scene.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
Exactly right.
So and when you young, and you a kid, man, and you think you got problems and somebody introduce you to that, I mean your whole world could end, man.
Yep.
And so I think, thank you, Zaid. I think I learned a lot from that brother tonight, man.
Sure, man. I'm
really a deep brother, man.
Yeah, very proud of the brother. Yeah. And they're doing good work. We're proud of our street team. The street team is like one of the model units of what community-based violence intervention looks like at its different levels.
Yeah.
Right. So you get the high risk. You get there are a lot of levels to that. Most folks just kind of like want a mentor, which is cool because you got your hands on somebody, right? But when you get into high risk intervention, you actually go into scenes where somebody just been dropped, and the rivalry that's at play, and you engage in those folks. That's a whole nother thing. You engage in folks when they're coming into the hospitals all shot up and cut up and whatnot, and putting them on a pathway to healing as opposed to a pathway to revenge or getting their behinds locked up. All those different levels, right? Our street team deserves a lot of credit, and he mentioned Akila and all, and folks who we had on,
right.
over the years and whatnot. But the work is really getting done, and that's one of the reasons. Earlier conversation with the mayor. And I was saying to Bashir, I said, no, we a national conversation for some of this right here.
Yeah.
And that's real stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn good work. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I'm a lot more knowledgeable about fentanyl, and I appreciate that. Being able to get that firsthand from
She kept it rolling too.
Yeah. And did you see how he was able to put his other hat on and do some freestyle? Did you see
Oh
that?
yeah,
Did you hear
I heard.
that, Ed? You heard?
I wish
I
Khalid
Good,
had shot
too.
him.
That was
That's
good.
when I met him.
listen.
I knew his mom from years ago.
Yeah.
Remember his mom from years ago, right?
Mhm.
Because she would, she would be at all our forums and all of that. She was, a veteran organizer, way, back in the 70s and the 80s when, when I was, coming into Newark, with the Black student movement coming out of 25. She was around for, all those conversations and spaces. So I remember his mother very well, right? But I'm very proud of how he has grown and now he's emerged in his own way.
Yeah, if we was in the studio, Rhino would have gave him a beat in the
Hey
studio.
man, I'd have gave him a beat quick.
Man, please. I was trying to get Chris on too because their mothers have similar stories. Their relationships with their mothers are very similar.
Yeah.
Both were in the party, and all they had deep community organizing roots and whatnot. And so they were very similar stories. And I want to make sure that Chris is in touch with the Cubs that are really trying to do stuff, and he's definitely a Cub of the party, and we're very proud of him. Man, and he done toot all that. He's built his name up, doing his work step by step as he does it.
Yeah. But we need a guy like that, man.
We need a bunch of guys like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an asset, man.
Because I've actually seen, and I didn't know that you stopped breathing, but I actually seen a guy OD on the PATH train on fentanyl, and he's right. That thing that they do that they hit you with bring you right back.
That's right. Yeah, because it opens up.
Yeah.
The circulation in your lungs, so that breath comes back.
That is an amazing, whatever that thing is they got, man. It's amazing how they can bring you right back, So, and then he said the same people who put the fentanyl out also makes that thing. Didn't he say that?
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
Isn't
So they making money on both sides.
Yep.
Ain't that but a vicious cycle.
That don't even make no sense to me.
Oh yeah,
no, I thought you was gonna say.
I'm saying it don't make no sense till it makes sense, right?
I thought you was talking about when he said that when you hit a person with the Narcon and they're coming out, they're coming back aware, and then they start cussing you out because you messed up.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then he said they go right back and buy it to get that high all over again. I mean, why would you want to be that close to
There's a similar scene in Pulp Fiction, in the movie Pulp Fiction, where something like that happens. Where chick ODs on cocaine or something like that. She had a bad trip of cocaine, and they had to hit her with a shot of adrenaline or whatever, and she came back to, and she was upset. But
I have never watched that movie.
Oh, Pulp Fiction, that's a classic.
All the watching you definitely got to see that down.
Yeah, because it was just like crazy.
Man, Samuel L. You got to see that.
Yeah, actually, and
you never seen
I watched it. It's just it's such a crazy, like it's almost like a crazy ride, and they just said Lawrence Fishburne was on the news today. He's doing a one-man show, but it's about his life. It should be interesting. Now Lawrence Fishburne goes back to Cooley High, right? That was Lawrence Fishburne and Cooley High.
Cornbread
Early to me. I meant Cornbread Early to me. Yeah, so he's gonna tell about.
Was Cooley High.
Yeah.
I meant the Cornbread Earl and me, but he's going back from a kid to his now and his acting career and what he has learned, and he said he's going to be very vulnerable. But one of the first shows I seen him on Broadway was a one-man show, so this should be
as an actor,
one-man show.
Hardest in theater. Oh yeah, you got to carry all that time and space by yourself. This can be done. And it's powerful when you can do it, but God damn it, it is very difficult to do.
Yeah, he's on. Yeah, so he's gonna be on Broadway, one man show. about him.
Mm-hmm.
So what else is going on in the hip hop world? And
Um,
DJ, Beyonce is not. We always do the Beyonce, but she's not hip hop, so we can't talk about her going country. So okay.
yeah, so, today is also the day we lost Nate Dogg back in 2011.
Oh, Nate, that's my baby. Oh,
Nate Dogg, yeah, we lost
yes.
back in 2011. Nate Dogg was such an integral part of the Dog Pound and 213 with Snoop and Warren G. Nobody brought it like Nate Dogg. To this day, I miss Nate Dogg. I really miss some
smooth.
of the way he sang. He was a real crooner, but he took whatever was going on in the streets and he knew how to turn it into one of those. He felt like one of those brothers from back in the 60s or early 70s.
Like the Mac was his father, like
yeah, you know,
like the Mac was his dad or something. But when
right. Like Nate Dogg really knew how to put words together, put ideas together, and hooks and stuff like that, man. And nobody did it like just like T-Pain had his own lane. Nate Dogg had his own lane. Like
he was
nobody touching that lane.
Maybe late 30s, early 40s. I remember reading about when he passed and his story and how sick he was. It might have been kidney failure, but it was basically he was talking about how he just didn't take care of his body, and he was just telling the stories of some of the crazy things he done, and how people allowed him to keep doing the crazy things. But true, oh my gosh, I just love Nate Dogg.
Yeah, Nate Dogg was one of a kind. Nobody like him. So rest in peace to Nate Dogg. Also want to say happy born to our own G-Dub, The Voice. Today is his born day.
The Voice.
Yeah, he's 53 today. It's my man. Big up to be my man G-Dub from the Hidden Descent 5X.
Happy birthday, G-Dub.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. And then, look out for some new stuff. Rhapsody's got a new album coming out. Common's got a new book coming out. I don't have the title on that yet. He's working on that. Yeah. And then Busta Rhymes and Flip Mode Squad is coming back together and putting some new music out. So look out for that. And it's the whole Flip Mode Squad. Rod Digger, Rampage, Split Star, Lord Have Mercy, all of them. They're all going to be in the house for this new music.
Common's book.
Yeah, Common. Love Common.
That's Chi-Town right there. To Common. But,
I have to tell he's been in the background producing a lot. I know he produces one of my favorite, The Shy, and the way from a photography standpoint, how they shot that Chicago, it's just beautiful. Who was the photographer from back in the day? And they called him the Renaissance Man.
Gordon Parks.
Yes. It is the way they camera. I don't know who they got behind those cameras, but they just catch it at the right angles and everything. And then when they drop the music in there, and Common's executive producer, I forgot the actual her name, but they do a great job with that. And it's like it's almost to me like a love song to Chicago, because they show it from a perspective of the young people, the some of the challenges they have in Chicago, to the business of Chicago, and they kind of what you say?
Very unique city.
Yeah, and then they even they tied in what's going on because they just had a woman, for mayor and all of that. So they're doing a great. Lena Waithe is the other producer, but Common's on some good projects. So.
Yeah, he actually had a role in some of the episodes.
Yeah, he was was he an imam?
Yeah, he played a redeemed Muslim who was trying to what we call tabligh, trying to bring somebody into Islam. The brother that played the wound up getting killed, that played the old man that shot the kid. And I ain't seen like the last whole season, but y'all know. I know you know what I'm talking about, Donica. You
Yeah, he is, and yeah, that brother that who plays that
What was
he
the what
got
was y'all talking about the Shy?
Yeah.
yes.
What season is it now? That's
5. It might be on season 5 now.
Yeah, they get ready to make another run on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
that's my
getting ready.
I love the Shy, man.
You like, yeah, I said they.
Everybody wound up dead.
Yeah, I haven't watched it lately, but but yeah, man, I love watching them kids grow up. You know,
Yeah, that was the part that I love the most. That those kids can grow. They just grew up right before our eyes,
yeah,
and Papa, he was so I really loved it.
yeah, very talented.
Speaking of Common, I just saw Common on February 29th at City Winery. He was like a surprise guest at Bilal's concert. Me and my wife went to go see Bilal perform at the City Winery on the 29th of February, which was my pop's birthday actually.
Where's that at? City Winery.
City Winery. That's downtown by the piers in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, Bilal is flawless, man, when it comes to his voice and his delivery. He's flawless, man. It was like nothing for him to hit those different ranges that he has. You know? He's like a Prince when it comes to the vocals. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like he knows how to go. He can go real high, real loud. He can go low, and and it's effortless, man. It's nothing to him. But he brought Common out towards the end of the performance, and Common performed a couple of songs with him. So that was cool.
Oh, that's some bonus love. Yeah.
Yeah, that was real cool.
Yeah. You know what I just watched? I just watched they had on remember President Obama, those 8 years in the White House. I can't think of the young man who wrote Ta-Nehisi Coates, but this last he did a event, and all the different singers was there, and everybody was at the White House. Everybody was there, and I was like, wow, that White House will never see years like that. Those 8 years in that White House with the artists that came through there, the programs that the Obamas put on, they were so unique. They exposed so much of our culture to the world, and they made sure that our culture was on front and center. But that last concert, and I think David Chappelle, it was silly self, and he said, look, and he said there was like one white guy, and he wanted to know how he got it. It was really funny, but that concert was fabulous. I mean, everybody, Jill Scott, Janelle, just everybody that's in the singing world. It was a beautiful concert, and when you go back and look like that, it was like it's almost like a movie that happened, because we don't believe it really happened because we hadn't seen it. And maybe the Clinton is probably close as it came to it was when the Clintons were there.
That's it.
Yeah. But that's it for me, really. I was speaking of G-Dub's born day. Hidden Descent had an anniversary. Hidden Descent is my group. R Train, Mad One, Doc Ock, G-Dub, and myself. March 10th was our anniversary, so big ups to all my fellas.
March 10th is your anniversary. You know what March 10th is?
It's the anniversary of Hidden Descent, 5X.
Yeah.
He
said, "Yep." He said, "Yep."
No, March 10th is the anniversary of the transition of the giant and military legend that was the great Harriet Tubman.
Wow. The day she left us?
That's right, March 10th, 1913. At 93 years
March 10th. Look at that, Rhino. You pick at that day. How organic is that? Rhino, tell us about Twitch Radio. People got to know, and buy a subscription, how we can support you, and why we have to show up there.
Twitch, it's funny. Twitch started off as a site for gamers. Like, that was a place for gamers to go and do what they did. When the pandemic hit, a lot of DJs just took over the site. It took over, and ever since then, it's been a DJ thing. And it's almost like a new radio. You know how you had XM radio came, XM radio came out, and that was like the alternative to the the radio dial, the dial radio stations and whatnot. So you had XM radio. Well, now Twitch is kind of like an alternative to XM. Like Twitch, there's so many different DJs on Twitch, and all you have to do is just kind of like, because some of them raid into other ones, and so you get introduced that way to other DJs that may be playing the kind of stuff that you like. So when you follow these DJs that you tend to like, they're on that becomes your playlist of DJs. So now when you go to Twitch and you have a list of different DJs and they all play different stuff that you love to play, you can choose which DJ you want to listen to at that point in time, if they're on, if they happen to be on air at that time. You know what I mean? So it's real different. It's something.
And most important, that if we subscribe to Rhino, whether it be monthly, quarterly, or yearly, we're investing in Rhino, so it goes directly to DJ Rhino. So so if I do a subscription for whatever, anywhere from $5.99 and up, that money will go. It goes into DJ bank that they hold until DJ Rhino pulls it out. So please, let's get DJ Rhino. Let's support DJ Rhino. There's a lot up there. You download, go to your Play Store on your phone, whether you have an Android or iPhone, download. And well, I would tell you to go to Rhino's page and let him, because he'll lead you right there. And then you download it and you support it. You can subscribe and we can support you.
And Rhino, let me ask you a question. What about TikTok, man? Like, so
I know DJs. I know a couple of DJs that were doing some stuff on TikTok as well, and they enjoyed it. I know this recent ban that just took place. There's a couple of DJs I know that were a little upset because that was like their biggest audience was on TikTok. But yeah, I know now, with this ban, that's been shut down.
So do you think? I mean, of course, I hear Donald Trump saying that, of course, at one point he wanted to ban it, but of course now he's talking about if he becomes a president, obviously he's going to let it stay because he has relationships with China. But do you think that they, well, one, do you think they're doing something nefarious? That's one, and then two, do you think that China should sell the company to American buyers so that way folks can continue to use TikTok?
I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle with that one because it's like China's being forced to sell.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I mean, they don't really have to do that if they don't want to. I mean, if they want to, keep their subscribers and all of that, that's one thing. But they don't have to do that. So I mean, I don't know.
I'm reading right now that they blocked the ban, saying that it was unconstitutional for it was a temporary block. And then it says TikTok is banned in China along with other social media platforms. Instead, Chinese users use a similar app, Douyin, which only is so the government in China monitors it, and it's subject to censorship and monitoring. What I would love is to have a tech person come on and explain to us, because we're seeing what's going on in the front, but what is going on in the back that is causing legislators to take pause? Because in our eyes, we're hearing and if it's doing what they're saying is doing, that's my goodness, it's brilliant, because again, they have put helped us focus on learning how to do the best dance, listen to the good music, and then meanwhile something in the background is going on. So I would love to have a tech person to come on and explain that to us.
Yeah, because I've definitely heard rumors of spyware and all of that kind of stuff.
Talking in code, we even did it to Lady Moses.
But remember, y'all, that's what algorithms are, right? When they can listen. you know the way, and I this is before I even knew anything about algorithms. Have you ever looked at something and then all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of ads coming to you in that one thing you just looked at?
Yeah, I just
Yes.
went to CBS and now I'm getting ads in my seat.
Right. And
it's
before I knew that,
bananas.
I was like, yo, that's psychological. I was like, whoa, how'd that happen? Right.
Yes.
You know, I went and looked up something, then all of a sudden I get a flood of that. And so what they were saying, and I don't know if it's true, right? Because you know, America lies so bad. What they were saying is that because of you know TikTok, that TikTok was somehow collecting Americans' information and sharing it in China. I don't know if that's true, but hey, man, you know what I mean? You know,
It's a
and you see
principal yeah.
those algorithms are no joke, right? Like, who knew? You know what I'm saying?
But how can we use that for good? So if all of us go on Principal Caffelli, let's see if we can make this work for us. We all go start searching Principal Caffelli books and then send it to our friends. So Principal Caffelli, would your books pop up on all our friends and our, you know what I'm saying? If we're gonna use it, let's use it for the good that it can do. Because if you're looking for a pair of black Nikes Air Max, next thing you know, Nike is going to be sending you other things. So if we know that, we need to be more strategic in, using it.
Yeah.
I think what would happen though, is, just in your example though, we would end up getting ads for whatever bookstore was selling
Principal Caffelli books.
Yeah. So if it was like Barnes and Noble or something like that, all of a sudden we'd be getting a bunch of Barnes and Noble ads.
Or source of, how can we use it for our good? Get source of knowledge ads popping up on everybody's page.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said my books pop up in algorithms when they are searched. There they go. Okay.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, I'm telling you, man, this stuff was dope. I before I knew what all that stuff was, I was like, yo, man, this is some psychological stuff. Because I mean, all that stuff was coming to me, man. I forget what I was looking up, but then all that stuff started coming. I'm like, whoa, what is going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and then I was like, oh, okay, so that's what it is.
As well as my YouTube vids. Yeah, so maybe we on our Fridays we need to do a tech call Fifth Friday Tech Fridays, and we do some and some deep diving and some research on that and turn around and even using it for our purpose of getting what we're talking out there to more people strategically, send it out to a list and then ask them to send it out, what and how, if we're going to use it, let's use it for our benefit.
Yeah. Yep. We got to figure that stuff out, man, because I'm telling you, these people, man, I don't know. I mean, TikTok is I'm not on TikTok, right? I don't know. Are y'all on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. And you know what? It is
addictive.
And I want to say it is very addictive because you can start, and because it does, and they must have it down to a science that you're looking for something upbeat. You like this, you like that, so you'll keep getting the people speak through their vote. Hey, Dr. Pritchard. All right. Hey, we must. It keeps you, like, if you like to dance and the family dancing and things like that, it does keep you right on that line. So I am on TikTok, and I will, before I know, I'll look up. It might be an hour and a half, and I have to.
I also heard stuff like like here in America, we looking at jokes and funny things and dancing and entertainment, but I hear out in China they're using TikTok for education.
Right. And as we can, I mean, as
that
well.
Wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it's because you can do it's for what you want. If you put a sermon up there, you'll continue getting sermons and things like that. So it's the same thing. The algorithm. The first thing you search, you'll find out that'll be the same thing you will keep getting and things like that. So
yeah.
Well,
but as they say back in the got to be in it to win it. So none of y'all on TikTok, so y'all won't know.
Yeah, I'm not. I listen. The first time I don't know about you, Zaid, but I mean, Zaid and the Rhino. First time I heard about TikTok, I heard it from Congressman Payne.
Yeah.
He was on TikTok.
Yes. Did we say about Congressman Payne honoring Pastor Ali from the floor?
Yeah.
I really missed y'all. I had to do a funeral.
Yeah, I sent it.
I tried to get there too, man. There was no parking. I ended up turning around and having to watch it.
Yeah, they said, and Marv, the flowers was at the end of the stage on the right hand side. He said you could not get down the middle aisle. He said that place was so packed. But the gentleman who did the flowers for us, he said it was bananas in there. But I'm gonna send Congressman Payne. Pastor Ali was a dear friend of his, so he was able to keep. But we know Congressman Payne, so we can hear it in his voice that it was a heartfelt words from the floor. But Ed, if you can, did you put it back up on the page when Pastor Ali prayed?
I think I did, but I can
Okay.
repost it if it's not. Yeah,
And I'll send. Yeah, if you could, you repost that, and I will send you the words. What Congressman Payne said as well. If you can post them back to back.
All right.
Was the service streamed? It should have been.
They said they were gonna. Well, I streamed most of it myself, so it's on our Facebook page too.
Okay.
I saw it on the Facebook page. I couldn't find anything on YouTube though.
I got banned by Facebook.
Yeah, no, I didn't put it on YouTube. It's just on our page.
Do you want me to call Pastor and see if we can get a copy of it, Ed?
Call who?
Pastor Metropolitan. Yeah. Do you want me to call?
I heard that they were supposed to post the video.
Okay, I'll find out.
So, I don't know, but also, I mean, Melina is supposed to be on next week, so we can ask her too.
Okay.
So when she come on, but I mean, and Zaid, did you see the book signing?
I was out of town.
The whole thing. I
saw it though. Yeah, in fact, I think I posted it on Twitter.
Okay,
that's
because
because
Larry shouted you out.
Yeah. And Stephanie, I didn't even recognize Stephanie James Harris. She looked totally different.
Yeah. Professor Stephanie James Harris. Chairman was Trevor. Trevor from Seton Hall. He had chairman on campus today, talking to young people, and they got signatures, got votes, and they chairman get the mic. You know the rest. I didn't get to get over there, but Trevor is doing some leg work. He is really working hard. So give that young man a high five. He's doing his work.
Well, listen, y'all, we out of time, so I'm gonna give y'all, if you got any announcements you need to make, Zaid, and
Well, just as y'all, I lost a comrade today, Joan Gibbs. Joan Gibbs was a people's lawyer in New York City, and very close to the party. She was Bobby Herman Ferguson's lawyer. She got all of his FBI COINTELPRO papers, and she was one of the founding members of the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee. So I just want to say shout out to my fallen comrade, Joan Gibbs. Remind everybody next Wednesday, 11 o'clock, Newark Public Library, the workshop with the overdose response team led by Divad Sanders. Don't miss that. Go to the Newark Public Library's page and do the registration.
And it'll be on our page too. And I'll put that in, and I'm getting ready to put it in chat one more time.
Thank you.
And then for me, tomorrow, 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, every Saturday, 3 p.m. I'll be there. Twitch.tv/Rhino CMZ at 3 p.m. for the Saturday Shake Up. I'll be on there tomorrow.
Right on. Announcements you need to make?
No, I'm good. I'm just putting the comments in so people will know where to be at.
All right. And so let me just thank everybody who came on. Obviously, we want to thank, one of our co-hosts, Emeritus, for showing up today. Bashir
Yeah.
with his little Cuban hat on. You know what I mean? Appreciated him stopping by and hanging out. I hadn't seen him in a minute on the show, so it was all good. And then, of course, we want to thank the mayor. You know what I mean? You know, for coming through and doing the mayor's forum and you know, helping us guard our language. You know what I mean? Especially me. You know, keeping cussing at these people, man. A job well done, man, at the state of the city. And Zai, we want to go ahead and thank our brother
Divad Sanders. Very proud of Divad.
Yes.
Newark Community Street Team, opioid response.
Wordsmith.
Very proud of little brother.
And his freestyle, and by next year we'll be telling everybody how they can get their CEU credits if you just tune into the mayor's forum 4 times a year, because every time the mayor comes on, it's like you're in class with Mayor Baraka.
Yeah. So we appreciate that brother coming through. Thank you. Learned a lot. And so I want to thank all of my co-hosts. I want to thank Brother Zaid. I want to thank Donna. I want to thank DJ Rhino. Appreciate y'all coming through. We want to say what's up to John. You know, he's out there doing a debate, so he was chiming in. You know, obviously wanted to talk a little bit to the mayor. So appreciate that, John. You know, hopefully you all won that debate tonight. I know y'all are champs, so I know y'all got that taken care of. So appreciate that. I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. We'll see you all next week right here on All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. As my brother Zaid said, we'll catch him where, Zaid?
Whirlwind.
Catch y'all in the whirlwind. You don't stop.